with oil.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's always good.
I didn't even know my truck had a drain plug for the transmission.
Yep. I don't mess with. I can fix a lot of my own cars, and I don't even fix them. I don't even do it anymore.
The only thing, I only do the oil change because it's so expensive. It takes 14 and a half quart, or it takes 14 quarts of oil. So it's
Man, my car takes 12 quarts of oil. It's insane.
Yeah, it's like $280 to get the oil change. So I do it myself.
I think my F-150 takes 6.
Yeah.
3.5 liter.
But my Honda, I bought Eric's gold Honda minivan. I still have it.
Yeah.
220,000 miles later, that thing's still kicking.
It's kicking, man. It's rocking.
I love that thing.
All right.
You red eye?
Red eye.
Let's do it.
Hold on 1 second. I gotta handle something. Let me just send a message to somebody.
And I can easily pause at any time, too.
Yeah, like if you got to pass gas or something.
Take a break.
Whatever it is, you got to go to the bathroom. You can't hold it anymore.
No, we'll be good.
Just make
indicate.
And then because this we can just pause and it just picks up right where we left off and nobody even knows we paused.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, like I don't have to say, and we're gonna take a break.
Right.
So what do you do? Is there a signal you guys give?
We can't tell you what it is though.
I
It's
usually
kind of proprietary.
do this.
What signal should I give?
All you got to do is just go like this or something, and we'll know. Like
I go like that.
I mean,
I just do a little tap like that. Like
yeah, it doesn't matter that much. Yeah, I will. Like if I know we need to pause, I'll start leaning in, like like that. But that's only when we used to change. We have to like start the video over. All right,
you ready?
All right,
let's roll it.
It's rock and roll.
It's rock and roll.
TNT show. Here we are, Tom.
What's up?
Today we're here with Kenny Ruiz from MagChop.
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So, real briefly, MagChop is a design. I mean, you are a design artist.
Yeah, so I'm an artist, fashion designer, and actor.
That's okay. So that's all under MagChop.
Yes. Yeah, everything's under MagChop.
Yeah.
That's the MagChop's the umbrella. A lot of people think it's my name, but it's the business name.
So, I mean, I guess the first question is, how did you get into this?
It's really a wild story how it all began. So my art actually changed. I was always an artist. I was like a graffiti artist in Chicago growing up. And then, I always did artwork, but I never like wanted to be like an artist out there. It wasn't my thing. I was a worker guy. I was like blue collar guy,
Yeah.
And so my art was just always my escape. When my mom passed away, I could no longer draw. And I didn't know what happened, but I could, like, the images I used to see on the paper were no longer there. And it was just like, but I had all these crazy ideas in my head. So I would search through magazines and started chopping up the magazines and creating these pieces of art.
You just answered my next question.
Where the name came from?
I was like, where? Because I was literally Googling MagChop meaning. I'm like, this got to mean something. It means nothing.
No, it's just how I do my artwork. I chop up magazines.
That's pretty interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a crazy story to everything that happens. Like, my life has been I've had a very wild life. When I lost my mom and changed my artwork, I started doing this artwork. But before she passed away, I actually was in a situation where I was misidentified, and I was charged with some heavy charges and facing a lot of time in prison, to the point where I did time, and I had to go to trial for this.
And this was what year?
In 2006. Well, from 2006 to 2008. It took 2 years of my life gone.
Okay, and you were still in Chicago then?
No, I was here in Florida. I moved to Florida in 1990. The end of like 93, like November of 93.
Okay.
And I went to Ely High School, and then would be my like end of sophomore year, but I got kicked out for fighting.
Oops.
And then I went to Deerfield, and
that's a better school.
Yeah, and I got in trouble.
You'll do much better there. I'll imagine that.
Yeah. So I got kicked out for fighting, and so I graduated through Deerfield Beach Highlight Program. And then I went back to Chicago.
And got a GED or something?
No, I got an actual high school diploma.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I went through a program that you had to complete everything and get the credits for high school. And
What year did you graduate?
95.
95.
1995. Yep.
Okay.
And so because of that, it made getting employment really tough because this would, even though I was found not guilty by jury, it still was on my record. And if they're going to expunge anything, they only expunge one charge, but the list wouldn't have mattered. So I just didn't even bother with it. But I left Waste Management. I was working for them for a while, and the dynamics of everything changed. So I was like, no, I'm out of here. I didn't like the direction it was going. And when I left there because I was pretty much hired by another company. And I was really excited about it. I went to the first interview. They liked it. Second interview, I met the whole team. They were like, all right. For third thing, they were like, you're coming for onboarding. So I was like, cool. So I left Waste Management. I was excited. I go there, and they're telling me I'm going to meet with the owners, the HR department, and some other person. I forget who they were. But I get there, and there's just one lady sitting there. Just sitting there, and she's got a serious look on her face. But I'm in a really good mood because I'm like, hey, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm onboarding. I got this thing.
I was the position was really a cool position too, and it was like regional. I was going to be traveling throughout the Southeast United States. It was going to be cool. So I go in there and I'm like, good morning, how are you? And she's like, good morning. That's serious. Now, the way her office was situated, you come up the stairs, you open the door, there's her desk is right there. Behind her, there's another door. So instinctively, I go, we waiting for the rest of the team? Like, and she's like, no, you're just meeting me. And I'm like, okay. So now I was like, oh, I got to put my game face on. So I sit down and she's like, well, I'm the manager of HR. And she's like, and we can't hire you. I look at liabilities and I look at you as a liability. And I was like, that's not what I was told. Like, what happened from last week to this week? I don't get it. And she's like, well, I looked at your history and, you had a really, really steep charges against you. So I can't have somebody working with those kind of charges. And I said, ma'am, with all due respect, if you did your history right and researched it properly, you would see I was found not guilty by a jury of anything what I would consider my peers. This lady says, so was OJ.
No way.
No way. Yeah, man.
Whoa.
I was. You ever been so angry that you can't be angry? You're just like, wow, that was good.
Yeah.
I literally was like, wow. And I walked downstairs.
And how old were you at this point?
I was 37. So
wow.
I went downstairs. I had a beautiful Cadillac STS, the nice one. And I sat there and I cried in that thing. And then I turned it in. I got rid of it. And I was like, I can't afford it anymore. I walked home and and I told my wife, I said, listen, we're going to struggle, but I'm going to start a business because I'm never going through that kind of humiliation again. Ever. Yeah. And that was the birth of MagChop. And she said, what are you going to name it? I was like, I don't know.
That's one of the things most people struggle with. It's like coming up with a name.
Yeah. The name and the logo. Even the logos. Logos are difficult. And I can do logos. I've done logos for people. But I've actually even hired artists to do logos for some of the companies. Like sometimes some of these companies, because you're competing with some of these really big ones, that they have a whole staff full of people that can create logos. So they like send out 20 logos for $100. Yeah. Where, you're getting 3 from me, Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to make one and my 2 other artists are going to make one. And whoever gets the sale, they get the bigger cut of it. That's how I try to feed other artists is with MagChop. I almost use it as a way to help other artists get work. So
right.
Cool. It works.
And get started and
yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
I'm in so many aspects of the industry because I started off just art, just doing the artwork, showing the artwork. And what happened was there's a part of the story. My wife's friend got engaged. This was the meeting with that lady was on Tuesday. On the Thursday before that Tuesday, my wife's friend came over for dinner with her new fiance. And so they come in the house, we're sitting down, we're eating dinner, and I had been making some of the collages, but I wasn't showing anybody my art. I just would hang up the ones that my wife and kids liked, and there was one hanging in the living room. So I'm having a conversation with this guy. Now imagine, I'm talking to him, but he's looking beyond me. And I'm like, man, don't tell me there's like a giant spider on my wall. Because I don't have I don't ever get any regular like roaches or ants in my house. No, I get a baby alligator one time and a wolf spider. And then when I found out it was a wolf spider, I was like, well, whoa, it's a wolf spider. Do they travel in packs? Like, what's going on?
The wolf pack. The wolf
right, you know what I mean? Like, but they came to dinner and he's sitting there and he's looking, he goes, And he was looking at it so much that I looked back like literally. And then I looked at him like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
And he says, where did you get that? And I was like, I made that. Just like blew it off. Like, I made that. And he's like, where are the rest of them? I want to see them all. And now I'm like intrigued. And I'm like, wow, this guy's serious about this. And I'm like, what makes you think there's more? And he goes, because nobody does that once. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, so I'll take you for the 5-cent tour of my house, you know. There's like one in my kids' room, and the rest of them are in what I call my Bears room. It was painted Chicago Bears blue. That's literally the name of the paint. And I had all kinds of Bears stuff up. So we walk in there, and he's looking at my artwork, and I picked up some of the ones, because I would get done. I would just kind of throw them. I'm an artist. You just throw it on the floor.
Yeah.
Put it off to the side in the corner. And he's looking, and he goes, do you know who I am? Just like that. And I you know, it's funny because as Chicago comes out, I was like, you know who I am? Like, what you mean?
What do you mean, like, do I know who you are?
Who are you? And he started laughing. He goes, no, do you know what I do? I said, I think you're like security or something for Guy Harvey. Right? He goes, I don't work for Guy Harvey. He works for me. And I'm like, oh, really? And he goes, what do you know about him? And I said, well, I know he's the world's most renowned nautical artist. That I know. He goes, yeah, you know how I got him that way? I took him to every continent that you can sell art on, and I sold his art. So my next question was, so why are you looking at my stuff? And he says, because in America, collage art isn't the most popular medium, but around the world it is. And I've been on every continent they sell collage art at, and I've never seen it done like this.
Interesting.
And I was like, really? And he's like, you have to show the world your art. And I was like, he goes, if you want, I'll help you get started, and I'll introduce you to people that produce Guy Harvey products so you can get good quality. And I was like, okay, I'm game for that. Let's do it. And then I was like, actually, no, I can't. I just landed this big job, and I'm not going to go be a starving artist. Oh, no. So then what happens is I get that meeting with that lady, and I don't have a job anymore. Like,
Well,
so
that worked out pretty good.
Guess who needs...
That's God calling.
Yeah. And so it really was. It really was.
Yeah.
And I tell people what I went through with my trial was all God. I stand on that. I'll never say anything else. It wasn't the jury. It wasn't the judge. It wasn't my lawyers. It was Christ. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here because of that. You know, I'm still around because of that. And I will always stand on that.
Yeah, that's a great story.
But it was a wild. I called him and I said, hey, listen, man, you never believe what happened. And I told him, and he said, all right, I'm going to help you out. And he introduced me to a few people, but I ended up talking to Tom one day, and he started making some of my products.
Yeah.
And so it was like I started making these. First I did was I just put the artwork on canvas. I put it on giclées of museum paper and the giclées on canvas. And then I went to mugs. I kind of followed the Guy Harvey thing, and I went to mugs. And my artwork looks phenomenal on mugs. And I actually pulled 2 out to bring to you guys, and I left them on my counter. So I'll call you and meet up with you guys. Can have
Part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah. Do that.
And so it was like I just went out there and I was like, all right, what do I do now? You know, how do I get this out there? And it was like I had to think outside the box. So I was like, all right, well, I worked in an art company one time. I was an accounting guy for an art company called American Royal Arts, and they were like the entertainment fine art leader. And I remember that talking to the owner, Jerry Gladstone, he would tell me that these people would buy this expensive art because they wanted it as conversational pieces. Maybe it told a story about their life. You know, these different things that he would tell me about that. So it was like I learned how people think, and I was like, so how do I make it memorabilia? Because it seemed that the most popular thing that we sold was memorabilia, and it was like movie memorabilia. You know, like the Spider-Man newspapers that they throw. We had those. I actually got to hold Dorothy's shoes, one of the pairs of Dorothy's shoes. We framed it and everything. We had it framed and everything. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And I had hired an attorney to help me get the legal stuff, the LLC and all that kind of stuff going, which wasn't really expensive. I could have done it on my own. And I tell people now, listen, research it. You can do it on your own. I spent a lot of money for nothing.
You can literally go online to sunbiz.org
And register.
Started an S Corp or LLC for $80.
$80.
I think by the time you're all done, you're out of pocket 150 because once you get that, then there's another fee, whatever. It's like $150.
Yeah. Don't do the way I did. Do not do the way I did.
No, it's super easy too.
But at the time, I had hired an attorney, which in hindsight worked out because she called me one day and was like, hey, listen, I got to go to these networking events. My husband doesn't like to go to them. Do you want to go with me to one? And my wife does not like going to network events. So I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll roll with you. I don't think I saw her once in the event. I saw her when we walked in, and I saw her when I was waiting outside. I networked. It was a music networking event down in Miami at Audiovision Studios. And so, I mean, when I tell you I put my business card in everybody's hand, and I was like, hi, I'm an artist. If you ever need artists for your music videos, I want to be the guy. And so from there, I started meeting people that were involved in the TV industry and movies and TV and film. So I started going to these other networking events. And from there, you hear about all these other networking events that they're not advertised anywhere else. This is a circle that I was able to like get into. And so it was like I just kept meeting people, and they would
perseverance of just
I mean, you
meeting
have
people, like getting out there over and over and over and over again.
They're like little clique groups you don't even know exist.
Right, but they're open.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Oh yeah, no, they're totally open. You just don't even know they exist.
Right. And so it was like I started learning about all these different kinds of groups and all these different kinds of people, and I was like, man, you know what? I'm just going to keep going and see what I can do, see how far I can get my artwork. And so I started getting like my T-shirts in these little short films. And one day the director was like, hey man, do you want to be in the movie? And I was like, well, I'm not an actor. And he's like, yeah, but I got this little scene that I think you'd work out for. I was like, all right, cool. So I did it. And I get a letter. I had to fill out this paperwork. I get a letter from SAG that I'm SAG eligible because it was a SAG film and I had lines in it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And so I knew nothing about any of this. The only time that I can say that I heard about SAG and what it was before that was from a movie. It was a marionette movie called Team America. And and they made fun of SAG, and they called them Film Actors Guild instead of Screen Actors Guild. So the acronym was different.
What was the acronym? No. Yeah. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So that's why I knew about what that was. And then when I started meeting a lot of people. And one of the people I met was Joe Rubo from The Last American Virgin. He was running a television show called VIP TV that would come on the CW. It was on from like Thursday to Sunday or something like that. He had, different shows on TV. Dining Divas was one of the shows that he had on there. And I started just meeting all these different people. And so I started getting my art into these little short films, and my clothing into the music videos. Some of the, the smaller music videos, they'd have a MagChop shirt on somewhere in there. And I was like, this is pretty cool. So then a friend of mine told me, hey man, listen. And like, this is years that I'm going, like I started in 2014. So in the end of 20, would it have been actually like mid 2015 somewhere, a friend of mine tells me, hey, listen, my wife likes your artwork, but she wants it on a bathing suit. Can you make that happen? And I'm
like, sure.
Sure. When I tell you I was a yes man, I was a yes man.
Like, you want to buy something? I'm selling it.
I'm selling it. Because let me tell you, if you don't have a job and you're starting a business, be prepared for anything. I mean, I cleaned headlights. You know what I mean? I did. You better find a way to make income. Do not let the idea of this destroy your ability to live. And I think that's the mistake a lot of people present when they own a business. They forget to tell that, listen, there are going to be hard times, but you just got to persevere through them, find ways. Sometimes you just got to dig a little deeper. Sometimes you got to use some other skills that you have. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be discouraged by that, because it's going to happen. I talked to a friend of mine one time, and I told him, I said, dang, bro, I got to tell you something. I said, because I got to tell somebody who's a business owner. I said, I sat in my car in front of my house and I cried the other day because I was kind of frustrated with some of the no's. Because there's a lot of no's before the yeses. The yeses are great. The one yes, you forget about all the other no's. And I sat in front of my house and I cried. And he goes, how many times have you done it? And I go, what? He goes, cried. And I go, that was the second time. He goes, oh, you got at least 3 more.
No, that's nothing.
Oh, it's true. When I first moved out of the house, I moved into Broward Sports. And Mark, we worked out a working relationship. I was there for 8 months. And then I had to move into my own first freestanding building, right? 1,200 square feet. And same thing. Like, I called up one of the people who was in my business, Christian guy, and I'm like, dude, what do you do? He's like, you just got to trust and you just got to keep perseverance. But I remember literally praying, man, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have a job. This is my job, right? And then the guy across the street, they were remodeling, and he opened up a pizza place. So I got to know him when he was renovating the pizza place. Excuse me. And then he's like, hey, would you mind delivering pizzas? I don't have a driver. And I remember thinking, I'm 36 years old. I own a business, quote unquote, right? What are people going to think when I show up at their door with a pizza? Like, what is this 35 or 36-year-old dude showing? What is wrong with this loser, right?
That's funny, yeah.
And so you go through this, you think, oh, geez. And then I remember, like, the first time I delivered a pizza, the guy's like, hey, man, thanks a lot. Here's $5, right?
Yeah.
And I walked away thinking, this guy doesn't give two craps about me or what I do. He doesn't care if I have a business that's struggling or
You have the pizza.
I have his pizza. That's all he cares about. He didn't have to get up out of his apartment and drive to get a pizza.
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, you do those things, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, I mean, there's when you have a business, and what I had to learn, because I didn't know this. I was a blue collar guy. I always worked for somebody. I was one time on roofs, one time doing plumbing, one time what I mean. I've propane companies, waste management, and you name it. I've worked in these companies, and I worked my way up until I'm no longer in the field. But you have to look at your business, treat it just like your job. You're starting at the bottom, and you got to work and build and build and build and build the confidence to be able to get to that next level. And you just can't give up. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be times that things don't work out, but you just can't let that affect you. You just got to You just got to say, okay, I learned from this one. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. Like, because how many people start a business and know what they're doing? They have no idea what they're doing.
No.
So you might know how to make your art,
Right.
because you've been doing that for years and years and years, and it was your love. But running a business and art, completely different.
It really is. But I've seen so many people with different businesses, but no matter what the business is, the work required to make it successful is the same. That was the common thread is that it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be tough, but once you got the idea, follow the model. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think what you've done is pretty interesting. Like, it evolves. Like, your business, MagChop, was one thing, and then it became something else, and it became something else. And then you made coffee mugs as well, right?
Yes.
And you did put your art on.
Well, I found a way to put them on bathing suits. And let me tell you, that was a very expensive venture.
I remember that.
Dye sub?
Yes.
Yeah, Dyson.
So yeah, I do know something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I had to learn about what fabrics accept it, what doesn't, what's the best way to do it, what's the best way to mass produce it.
Yeah.
And so when I first did it, I bought the fabric and I brought it to you. Mm-hmm. He sublimated it. Then I brought it back to a manufacturer, and I said, "This is what I want it to look like," and she made it. And it was like almost $350 for 3 triangles. You know what I mean? The fabric.
Wow.
Let alone the dye sub. So I was like, man, how on earth do I make bathing suits? Craziness. Excuse me. I went to this meeting, and it was like a meeting in like Fort Lauderdale, like right on the Las Olas, the real wealthy side of Las Olas. I forget the name of the hotel. It's like a really known hotel, though. You walk in, and the floors look like Mexican tile. It's like old school. It's green.
Yeah.
But I go into this meeting, and like when I first started my business, you would never see me the way I'm dressed right now. If I went out and I was repping and doing anything with my business, I wore a suit.
Really?
Yes, because I only wanted people to see me one way, and I didn't because I had an insecurity that people were looking at me like this hoodlum. So I was like, you're gonna see me in a suit every single time. So everywhere I went in a suit or a collared shirt, buttoned up, looking clean. So I went to this meeting, and there was a bunch of like political people there, and I'm tripping out because I just got invited by one of my friends, you know, and I'm like looking, and like Rick Scott's there, and this lady walks in, and she's wearing this red dress and like an angel, and she walks by, and so I'm like, she's important because everybody was like, hi, hi, hi. So I walked towards where she was working. I sat right next to her, and excuse me, and so I said, hi, how you doing? I'm Kenny from MagChop, and I gave her my card. And my card used to have like it was like it almost felt like felt, but the letters were like glossy,
Like raised.
yeah. And then when you turn it over, it had one of my pieces. And the lady says, she goes, oh, you're into cars? And I go, yeah. And she goes, yeah, right? Like, and we're at this big oak table, like, and I'm like, I looked around, like, did she just do that? I'm like, oh, you're into cars? And she's like, yeah, I haven't done it in a long time. And her name was Liliana. And I go, what do you do? And she goes, oh, I own Palm Beach Swim Week. I go, oh, that's pretty cool. Now, at this point, I had not made the bathing suit. And so I kind of bounced around a little bit because it's crazy how all these things happened. So I just talked to her for a little while, and she ends up being somebody that I met in 1998. She built a car that beat the car from my car club, and we had this show on lock, and we lost. It was to her.
No way, that's crazy.
And I met her, and so when I told her, I go, wait a minute. She goes to me, oh, the last car show I actually went to that I competed, I won. And I was like, which show? And she's like, Slamfest 1998, Tampa. And I was like, that's funny. I won at that show in the lowrider class. She's like, wow, that's a tough class. I go, what class did you win in? She goes, Hondas. I had the hottest Civic. And I was like, wait a minute. You beat Rocco? And she goes, from Harsh Reality? Because that was my car club. And I go, yeah. She goes, yeah, I did. Man, I go, I met you. And she remembered my car. She remembered I had a 65, and she remembered it. And so then I told her, I was like, man, we got to keep in touch. You know, this is cool. So when I did the bathing suit, I called her, and I was like, hey, listen, I got a bathing suit that I made, and I want to make more of them, but it's really expensive. I know you own Palm Beach Swim Week. Can I get a manufacturer or something from you? And she's like, you made bathing suits out of your artwork? And I go, yeah. She goes, I got to see this. So I brought her, I had made 3 of them. So I brought her the samples, and she was like, if you would change anything, what would you change? And there was some things about them that wasn't the manufacturer I didn't like. I said, I would do this, and I would do this. And she's like, I'm going to do something I've never done. She's like, if you can bring me 20 designs, I'll give you a shot, and I'll let you in Palm Beach Swim Week. And I was like, okay, challenge accepted. And I did it. And I had a hot show at Palm Beach Swim Week. Probably one of the hottest shows.
That's crazy. So wait, did you actually design the bathing suits too?
I did. What I did was I went to Deerfield, Pompano, and Fort Lauderdale, and I would look at women that had bathing suits that I thought looked good. And I would go up, and I had my notepad, and I was like, hey, can I ask you questions about your bathing suit? I'm designing bathing suits. And they were like, yeah, sure.
You're like, and I'm not a creep. I'm just, really, I'm a designer.
Yeah, well, I used the ones I went to.
It was Tom. Yeah, sure.
I only talked to the girls that had guys with them. I talked to the guy. I want to ask you girls some questions about a bathing suit. I'm designing bathing suits. And he's like, all right, cool. So I'd sit there, I would sketch it out, and I was like, what would you change? What's not comfortable about it? So I was very comfort driven. So and man, let me tell you, they'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't like this, and I didn't like this. I wish it had more of this. I started drawing it out.
Well, people like to tell you what's wrong.
Yeah.
Like they love that.
Yeah.
So what an interesting way, because I was like, what else are you going to do? Well, MagChop magazines, you're going to look at models. That's your way.
Yeah. It was wild because once I got them all done, and then it came the day where we're like, do a fitting, and now I'm casting models. And it was crazy. And it was like some of these models were like, you start talking to them and you find out, because all you see them is walking down a runway. You see their social media, and they're just walking on runways. But who are these women that are these models? And man, I have some of the coolest models in the world. These people do all kinds of cool stuff outside of modeling. But I learned then how to become a fashion designer. I never went to school for any of this stuff, but I had to learn, even down to the stitching style, everything. Everything mattered. It was there was all these little moving parts, and Then I was like, all right, so now I got clothing. Let's get this stuff in the movies. Now I got bathing suits. And so I got into a lot of like short films. And then finally I was at a film festival where there was a director from LA there. And I happened to be in like all my little cameo parts were all shown in this particular series of movies. Film festivals, you know, you're seeing a bunch of short films. And so every film that was up there, I had a hand in because I worked with them because I was like, let me get my stuff out there. I wanted people to see it. And so this guy was like, hey, listen, I got a role for you. I was like, all right, cool. Let's do it. I'm down. You know, at this point, I'm like, yeah, why not?
You know? Whatever.
And I ended up starring in a movie. They flew me to California. I starred in a movie, and it ended up on Amazon Prime. And I was on the poster. My face was there, right next to Joker. You know what I mean? I was like, no way.
That's crazy.
And I was like, man, this is crazy. So then I got invited to Miami Swim Week. I did Miami Swim Week. I did Chicago Fashion Week for the Wicker Park Fest. And the Chicago Fashion Council, they don't allow designers that don't live in the city to show. They actually researched and found out that I was from Chicago and that I was involved in some stuff. And they were like, wow, it's exciting to bring him back. And it became, so I'm the only designer that shows in a Chicago show that doesn't live there. And then I got invited to show my designs in Paris, in Milan, New York Fashion Week, and LA Fashion Week. And there's people that they spend their whole life designing and they don't get that invite.
Right.
You know, so for me to have gotten it, it's been a blessing. Like, it's crazy. I have, right now, I have 4 movies on Amazon Prime, which is wild. And I'm on the cover of 2 of the posters
All
that
right,
are on
so
there.
we're going to put not only your magchop.com name, we're also going to put your movie links in the description. We're going to watch them.
Yes, you got to.
I'm going to watch them anyway.
So I have one movie that I'm in. It's called, and it's funny. This one I'm not in a lot. I only cameo in it for a minute. My art is in it. My art has a really big part in the movie. Like Kristen Renton and Jason Landon, they sit there on a computer right next to my piece, and I'm in there just like dancing. That's it. And that one's called Marriage Killer. It's one of those Lifetime original movies, but it's on Amazon Prime. But it's part of a series called there's Patient Killer, Boyfriend Killer, Marriage Killer, and Dream Killer. So my artwork is in Marriage Killer and Dream Killer. And Marriage Killer, I appear though like you see me. And then there's one called 9 Windows. So it's funny because it's my YouTube channel is playing. So do you remember the movie by Alfred Hitchcock called Rear Window?
Yes.
Okay, this is a remake of Rear Window, but in a digital age. She's watching YouTube channels and it comes on at night. She's seeing these things going on. Instead of
out the window.
Out the window, it's in a computer screen.
Yes.
And so this girl, she was in an accident, so she's, wheelchair driven. So she just sits home doing these things. She works for some IT company and she starts seeing these things. And so it turns out just like the movie.
Yeah.
But she watches all these shows during the day, and my show is one of them. So then there's a movie called Negativity, and I play the gangster older brother of the main character's girlfriend. That main character's girlfriend is the girl in the wheelchair in 9 Windows.
No way.
Yes. But the movies were filmed
wild.
totally apart. And I didn't know I didn't know where what I got contacted by a lady named Eve Gray. And she does she's a producer, and she's like, hey, listen, a friend of mine is doing a movie and they're looking for YouTube shows to play in the background. Submit your link. So I did. So I got contacted by a lady named Lou Simon, and she was like, I'm doing the movie. I liked what you did. I want to use your clip. So, they compensated me. They sent me all the paperwork. I sent them the rights to use that particular video throughout the film. And I think it was 2 videos that they use. And so that's how I got into 9 Windows. And it was funny because when Diana was shooting 9 Windows and they put my screen up, she was like, oh my God, that's my brother. But we're not really brother and sister. But they were like, your brother's MagChop? And she's like, no, but he plays my brother in another movie, which is Negativity. That's a really cool movie. It was shot during COVID. And we all shot it on our phones. Like the whole movie is shot on phones.
Really?
The only time you see people together is the only time people actually ever worked together or spoke to each other. That's it. Everything else was all shot on phones.
How do you do that?
I don't know, but the director did it. When I was watching the movie, it looked like I was talking to this girl. And I was like, I know, I never talked to this girl. I didn't even know who she was until the premiere of the movie.
So it was, okay, so
So
it
you're just
wasn't-
reading your parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, remember Blair Witch Project?
Yeah.
Where it was like which was groundbreaking. Like, it was all done on like a video camera.
Yeah.
You could tell. So I was thinking it's like people shooting the video, but it's on the phone, but it's not like that at
because
all.
they're having phone conversations. A lot of it is phone conversations, except for the few times that people are together.
And it was shot during COVID.
Yeah.
So they were just like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We're not allowed to go anywhere, especially if you're in Chicago or New
Yeah.
York or
Yeah, they was
Florida.
tied down. But we
were
shot.
okay.
I mean, we weren't. What did we do? Three weeks. Felt
Florida,
like,
it wasn't long.
It wasn't long, but
But-
the movie industry in Florida, they were very strict on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they were like, "Hey, listen, if you're doing a set on a movie, we would prefer that you do it this way." And so that director was like, "You know what? I'll just follow the rules, but I'm gonna still make a movie during COVID because a lot of people just weren't making movies." He was like, "I'm gonna make a movie during COVID, and it's about COVID, and it's it's a really cool film."
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to do something, right?
Yeah, it's really cool film. The dialogue, so there is a lot of cursing in that one. Just be prepared. If you don't like cursing, there's cursing in that movie.
Warning.
But it's a good movie. It's really a cool movie, and when you're watching it now, knowing that none of us were actually speaking to each other, it makes it that much cooler.
You know, you hear things behind the scenes type stuff, right? And there's one particular actor out there that kind of has a bad reputation. He's a very popular actor. I should know his name, but if I said Deadpool, you know who it is.
Oh yeah.
Whatever his name is.
I don't know his name.
Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan
Ryan Reynolds. Apparently, he has a really bad reputation. He's hard to get along with. He's kind of a jerk on set, whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
heard
So,
any of
I mean, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I've never met him. But anyway, so like there was a movie he was filming, and the girl's like, I'm done with this. I'm tired of this. I am not going to act in front of him. I'm going to act to a tennis ball. So, you know, she was like, no, just hang a tennis ball in front of me, and I'll just pretend that's him, and I'll just do my stuff in front of a tennis ball.
Wow.
But they're like, no, you can't do that because he has to be on set today anyway, so too bad. But I guess there's people like that just have
Yeah.
like reputations, and they do that stuff all the time.
I have encountered some people that I would say I wouldn't want to work with them again. If I
Yeah.
knew they were going to be in a film, or I would ask the director not to put them where I have to work with them.
Yeah.
There's a few people like there's only a few, but because I've seen them on set and I'm just like, what? Like, you know, and some of them, I think they're the people that they almost take themselves too seriously. Like, you know, they see themselves as a lot greater than they really are, or bigger than they are. And I don't understand that mentality. So
You know what I think of every time I see a movie? Like I used to act in plays and stuff. And
that's harder.
yeah.
Plays are even harder.
Oh, plays are harder because you
You
have
get one take.
You have one take
And you got a bunch of people watching you.
And well, no, but it's different though, because when you're acting in a play, you can't see the audience, and so what ends up happening is that the whole thing plays out at one time, whereas in a movie, you and I
right.
listen, you scumbag, how dare you, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? Cut. Okay, take, let's do that again. Everybody get your places. Everybody mark. Okay, when you're ready, right?
Yes.
In a play, you have to memorize your lines.
Completely.
And so then what ends up happening, if the three of us were in a play, right, we would just be interacting with each other. We're in our own world. Everybody out here, you don't even see them because you're not addressing them.
Right.
We're just having a conversation. We're doing our roles, our parts.
Yeah.
Right. And the hard part is memorizing lines. But
Yeah.
once you do that and you do it enough, you get it down, you tweak things, because now it becomes natural, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
you become the part. You become the person you're playing, so then it's not acting anymore.
Yeah, you're that person.
You're that person.
Yeah.
And so you've committed to knowing the lines and knowing what's going on, that you just get into it.
But you know what I found hard, difficult was creating the character itself, because you can memorize the lines. Like, yeah, you work the lines, you get used to saying them, But then who is this person? What's their backstory? You kind of have to almost put that together with, I was filming this film where I play the CEO of a hotel, but I'm like a scumbag CEO because we had the owners off so that we can take over the CEO, right? Take over the building or whatever. And it turns out that there's some other family members that now have access. And so my character is upset about it. And so they had filmed they had filmed part of this movie before, and it didn't work out. I guess they didn't work with the actors. And I got to see the original character. And I didn't think it was that bad. What do I know? I was like, okay, it's not that bad. He seemed like kind of a pompous guy. So when they got that part, I was with my brother, and I was like, man, I go, this is what the scenario is. My brother's actually in the movie. He's an extra in the movie. And when I showed the part, he's like, man, I don't know. I feel like he should be more upset. And he's like, I mean, he's killing people for this. He's got to be losing it. And so now it was like, oh yeah, that's true. And so it was like, there's where I say, can anyone explain this to me? And I was like, can anyone explain this to me? And I yelled it out. And the other actors kind of jumped. They didn't know that I was going to deliver the line this way. This is the first time we're doing it, where he's like, action, and I delivered the line, and I hit him with it. But I tell you that the development of the character, of knowing who this person is, what they might be emotionally dealing with, that's actually a really difficult part of making the character.
Yeah, sure.
And I was surprised at that because I thought that would have been kind of, but there's, I guess you're supposed to try to lose some of yourself, but to me, I feel like if I'm still kind of myself, I'm still me, but I'm me with this guy's life experience.
Yeah.
That's how I try to.
That's interesting.
That's how I try to approach it.
It's like, what was the actor that did Oppenheimer?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Like he got deep into that role.
Yes.
Excellent movie. I mean, his acting in that was crazy good.
Who's like one of your favorite actors?
One of my favorite actors?
Yeah. You haven't seen my movies yet, so I
did see The Squad.
Did you see The Squad?
Yeah, I watched it. You told me to. I watched it. I'm a good boy.
That's the other movie that I didn't mention yet. That was The Squad, Rise of the Chicano Squad. It's a movie that's based on the first Hispanic police squad in Houston. And the director of that, Juan Vasquez, actually did the movie Through the Valley with Danny Trejo. And in The Squad, we have Robert Lizardo, which was cool. He was really cool. He was a really nice guy.
Was there one before The Squad? Or was that the first one?
There's The Squad. That's the first one I shot with Juan. There's a movie that he had already made, and it's actually called The Squad. So now that one's coming out as Squad 2, but we're not in it.
Okay.
Squad 3 will be back to the one that everyone knows with us.
Yeah.
Because he's just releasing the movie. He's not it's not being promoted the way ours is. So,
So, so crazy. So I did something similar. So I did I did like a 7-minute movie, right? Like really short film.
Okay.
But it was for Creation Studies Museum in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, that's cool.
So, Tom DeRosa is the director of the.
I feel like that name sounds familiar, but
he was over at Coral Ridge or whatever, but he does the Creation Studies Museum, basically teaching everything from the perspective of creation versus evolution, right?
Okay.
And so we surprised him with a movie because he was having a huge fundraiser. So what we did is we created this. It was in my backyard and the side of my yard because I had to move out of my house for a year because we had a flood.
Oh, wow.
So everything was vacant. So we shot this whole thing with a police car, and we made one of the guys I knew had a camera, a rig set up and everything. He had the railroad track set down, made out of PVC pipe with everything, and you could roll the dolly with the camera and do all this stuff, right? And so it was like a 2-part thing. So the first part was I went to the beach and I interviewed people at the beach. And I just went up to him and said, hey, so what do you believe? Do you believe in evolution or creation?
Oh, wow.
Because I don't care, right? And they were like, well, I believe in evolution. Okay, well, what's the number one piece of evidence that most compels you to believe that, right? And then they would tell me something, and I'd say, same thing again. So what evidence? What's the number one piece of evidence of that convinces
Right.
you to believe this,
Yeah.
right? So we put this whole thing together, did it in, put the movie together, music together, did the whole thing in iMovie.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And it was actually a really cool experience. And we got an actress to do the voiceover and like the intro stuff, right? And she did it for free.
Nice.
She was just really kind of getting going. You know what I mean? Like she had like a little career in acting. She was in what was the CSI Miami with
okay.
David Duchovny,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
redheaded guy,
Yep.
right? And so she's a full-time model actress now.
Oh wow. Nice.
And so she was like in this anyway. So I'm going to get her on the show because she's in North Carolina, but she's done like a lot of stuff now
Oh, that's cool.
in that industry. And getting back to what you're saying with the phone, she has like a little mini studio at her house because that's where she does all of her what do they call it? Your
Our content creating and stuff.
no, not even the content. So when they want to. I have brain issues, by the way.
Like her own little home studio.
Full on legit. When you're doing, like when someone says, "Oh, send us your screen tape or whatever."
Oh yeah.
What
Okay,
I forget what it's called.
It's taped audition.
Yeah, like a taped
Video
audition or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she does that there, but that's what everybody's doing now.
Yes. That's the common thing now. Yeah.
Yeah, you just send them your video, you do your thing, and nobody's really doing, like going to a studio. No one's going to a place to audition. It's an audition tape.
So that's the thing. Like it depends on the production. So on the 29th, I'm actually there's a movie that I just became a part of. I play the owner of a bar. It's a Christian-based film that it's talking about trafficking, and I play the owner of a bar that's trafficking minors or whatever. And at first, I was a little about the part, because because I don't want people to see me in that light. But I guess the meaning behind it, and there's a lot of people that are getting behind it. A guy named his name is Kenny Hill. He's like a country singer. I think that's his name, Kenny something. But he's like
Kenny Chesney? No,
it's not that one. It's another Kenny. But he's involved in it. Khalil Ali is involved in it.
Okay.
Even though she's Muslim, but she's still involved with it. She plays a detective in the film, and I play the bar owner. And so I actually got in last night. I'll send you guys the poster. One of the posters come out. I'm on the poster. So we're shooting. We're filming in August. So right now I have several projects going, which is pretty wild because I'm shooting. Yeah. There's a movie called Side Effects. I'm shooting with the same director from Negativity.
Yeah.
And my kids are in it. My daughter has a speaking role in it and everything.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's really cool having. My daughter actually her troupe just competed at the state championship for thespians, and they won. They got superior. She came home with so many medals. I was like, no way. They got a plaque for the school.
Oh, that's cool.
Wild.
What school she go to?
She goes to Somerset Key.
Oh, okay.
She's graduating this year. This is it. This is the last of it.
Somerset Key?
Yeah, right here. It used to be. It's right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
right
It
in
used to be
Deerfield.
Zion.
It used to be Zion. Yes, that's the one. She goes there.
right.
But my son
My
goes to
aunt
Deerfield.
used to teach there years ago.
No way.
And when
Who?
it was Zion. Ginger? You don't know my... Oh, you haven't not met this aunt. You met my other aunt.
No, but Susan Milligan, Scott's wife,
Yeah.
was a school teacher there for like 18 years.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. They probably knew each other. What's her name?
Ginger Clavier back then. But she's Ginger Nazapak now.
Oh, her name is Ginger.
Yeah, her
I was
name
like,
is Ginger.
I was like, man, he's calling this guy the redhead. You're calling her the ginger. I'm like, these guys are a trip. Soulless gingers. No.
Those gingers. There's gingers everywhere.
I'm from Chicago, man. What do you want?
What do you want?
All right, so what is interesting about the stories that you're telling is you'll hear a lot in the business world, like, and there are no answers. Like, there's no right answer to do a business. But what's interesting about what your story is there's often a theme will be careful not to get distracted. Mm-hmm. Your business is all about that. Like, that's your business. But it all started at the art, and the art sort of goes through everything. So I'm like, man, he's all over the place. But really, you're not, because it's all
It's
art.
the art.
It's just
It's a different form of art.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's all in the art world.
Right. It's all in the art. Yeah. But movies now you're starting to get, okay, you have artwork, your actual artwork in a movie, and then you're just acting in a movie that may not have any of your artwork, right?
All of them have.
Oh, they all have your artwork.
all of them have.
Oh, that's super cool.
That's been really cool because every director I've worked with, I tell them, I said, listen, I'd like to get a product in the movie somehow. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. So
That's
you
really
see them,
cool.
You'll see them holding my mugs, drinking out of the mugs, in Negativities, drinking out of the mugs. In The Squad, when there's a scene where they're going through a drug house and there's a big mountain of cocaine and there's a MagChop mug right next to the mountain of cocaine.
Next to the cocaine.
What a great point of reference.
Yeah, that's where it's at. And then,
Did you see my mug? It was right next to that huge pile of Coke.
Yeah, and it's funny how many people were like, "Hey, I saw it."
Yeah.
Like, I saw your mug.
That's
And then,
hilarious. Tony Montana also had a big...
he had one on because if you look to the left,
Yeah. That would be funny to go in and Photoshop that into a photo.
I'm going to now just because you know what's
You
funny.
gotta do that. That's a
You
great
gotta
movie.
get a picture of that
yeah.
of him sitting at his big desk and put one of your mugs there. That'd be hilarious.
That would be
Ming.
great.
Hey Ming, yeah.
I'm shooting a series called Northside, and the guy who played Chi-Chi in Scarface, he plays my father.
Oh,
But
really?
He passed away. We shot some scenes together, but he passed away. He and I became really good friends. He would come to my house every time he was down here. He'd come to my house. Angel Salazar is his name, but this guy lived the role. He was Chi-Chi get the Yale. He
Yeah.
really
Oh,
was.
it's such a classic
But
movie.
yeah, but he plays my dad in Northside.
So how did you get involved at that thing you did with Flow Rider or whatever it was? What was that? What was that goof? I don't want to say goofy, but kind of out of the blue type of.
It was a commercial.
Wasn't it Paris Hilton or something in it?
Yes. So this is what happened.
But
This
that was before all this
crazy.
other stuff.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is like I was doing these crazy things were happening. Like doors were just like flying open for me. It was like really wild how it happened.
Because that was a while ago.
Yeah. I went, remember I told you guys that, and this is great that I referenced this. I talked about how I only wore a suit. So if you look at my art, there's a lot of very urban stuff in my art. And so there was these photographers that were traveling the United States, and they picked like 2 people from every state that they were going to shoot to put together this montage of personalities from different states. And they stumbled upon my artwork. And so they were like, man, I want to see the art. I want to see who this person is making this artwork. When they saw me, I was wearing a suit. And the guy was like, wait, what? This guy in a suit? The guy who makes this? And so they came up to me and they were like, listen, we want to film you, but we want to do a photo shoot with you about your artwork and everything. I was like, all right, cool. What do you want to do? And, and he was like, well, we don't want you in the suit. We want to know who you are and how you dress. And I was like, why? I was like, why? And he's like, because I feel like people are going to look at your artwork and look at you and be like, okay, what's the connection there? And I was like, all right, you could shoot me in like a Bears jersey, or a White Sox jersey. So I was like, all right, cool. So he's like, do you have a studio? And I was like, I have a studio room at my house. So they came to the house, and I had a White Sox jersey on. And the guy was like, hey, because your skin color, the white, it's not going to look good with the white shirt. It kind of takes away.
What's wrong with your skin color?
Because against the white shirt, it makes the hue off. It throws the hue off. So they were prepared. They would rather me be in a dark shirt.
You have a hue?
I guess. Apparently it did. But, this guy was like, listen, he's like, I don't like the way it looks with the white shirt. I want you in a darker shirt.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, cool. So I took off the jersey, and I have a lot of tattoos. You don't see them, but I am covered in tattoos. And so he was like, whoa, I got to shoot you like that. And I'm like, no,
No, we don't do that.
We don't do that.
No.
And he's like, this is who I want to shoot. This is the guy outside the suit. And so I was like, I don't really want to show that. That's me. He's like, that's what I'm here for. He's like, please, I would love to shoot without the jersey. We'll do some with the jersey, but I got to do some showing the tattoos. And so there's a picture of me holding the scissors like this. And you look at my face, I'm not happy. And I'm looking right into the camera. And he shot the picture, and it's a dope picture. I mean, it came out so good. I never posted it. He posted it, and he's friends with this girl, Tamara. Tamara is a producer here in Florida. She's also the daughter of one of the 72 Dolphins, Moore, the one that passed away.
Nat Moore?
Is that his name, Nat Moore? He was number 70.
Oh no, different Moore.
So he was on the 72 Dolphins, the perfect season.
Oh no, would have been
the
Nat
only
Moore.
perfect season.
The only
in all
perfect
of the
in all of
NFL?
NFL. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because the Patriots had one giant loss.
Yep.
Don't forget about the old 1985 Bears there.
We're not going to talk about that.
Bears.
The Dolphins
the
beat
Bears.
us. The Dolphins beat us.
Dude, I was rooting for you guys. At least my wife was a huge Bears fan, and yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Bears come into town
But they
and-
won the Super Bowl on my birthday, so it was,
And
it
they-
was the best 9th birthday a kid could ask for.
You were 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
That's crazy. 85? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, whatever.
I lost my track what we were talking about.
I was married in '85. Crying out loud.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so this guy sees this picture of you with a pair of scissors.
Yeah. So Tamara sees the picture and she reposts the picture. When one of the people because she's a producer, so she's got a lot of producer friends, and there's a producer in China who saw the picture.
What's his name?
I have no idea. I really don't.
I was
remember.
giving you an opportunity there.
Yeah.
I was about to make something up. Xing Shao Pei Wei.
Ching Chao Tang.
Xiping. So he calls her and he's like, "Hey, who is that guy? Is he an actor?" And she's like, "No, he's an artist." And she goes, "But I think he's done little roles. So, I'll ask him." He's like, "I need him for a commercial." And so she calls me and she's like, "Hey, this guy wants to do a commercial with you. He's flying in from China." And I was like, "How do you see me?" She's like, "He loved that picture of you with no shirt on." And I was like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah." Like, all right, give him my number. What the heck? She's like, "It's paid." And I was like, "All right, cool." So the guy doesn't call me for like 3 months. Right? It was like months. Like I completely forgot about it. I'm outside. I'm working on my car. I have a lowrider, and I'm working on my lowrider, and the phone's ringing. I just silence. It rings again. So I pick it up. I'm like, "Hello?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm looking for MagChop Kenny." I'm like, "Yeah, this is him." And he's got a very strong Asian accent. And I'm like, "This is MagChop Kenny." He goes, "Yeah, Tamara gave me your number." And I'm like, "Wow, that was like 3 months ago." And he's like, "Yeah, it took a while to get here." He goes, "I'm in Miami, but I want to meet you. But I want to, before I even give you any information, I need to know it's you. Can you send me a selfie of that I know it's you?" And I'm like, covered in oil. I'm like, "My man, I'm dirty right now. I'm outside working on my car. I really don't have time right now for this." And he's like, "That's exactly what I want to see." So I was like, "All right." Boom, sent it. And he goes, "Yep, you're the guy. Okay, listen, this is where I'm at." And he gives me an address, right? He texts me an address. I look it up, and it's like a hotel off 95 where 95 ends. And I'm like, it's kind of...
Human trafficking.
I mean, I don't know what's going on. So, listen.
Anybody seen Kenny? Nope, not since he went to meet the Chinese guy at the hotel right off of 95.
I'm like, it was like, okay, I'll go. I'm packing heat. You know what I mean? So I pull in, and I call him, and I'm like, "All right, I'm outside." And I see all these ladies come out, the little Chinese ladies and little Chinese guys, and I'm like, I could take all of them. I don't even need this. Like, get out the car. I felt so tall. And the guy comes up and he's like, "I'm so glad to meet you." He's like, "I just want to make sure because you're going to be driving around. Can you drive good?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "All right, we're gonna go down there, and then you can turn around and just drive back up. I just want to make sure you drive a car straight." So we jump in the car, and I didn't want to turn around, so I just drove in reverse all the way down. I drove all the way down. I put it in drive. I was like, "Ready?" And he's like, No, you could drive."
Like if you can back up a car, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like 30 miles an hour, just
You put your arm behind his head.
Oh yeah, I'm that guy.
Rubbing his neck as you're backing up.
Definitely not. So then he tells me, "Okay, so this is the role. You're gonna sing the song 'Can You Blow My Whistle' by Flow Rider." And this commercial is for Didi, which is China's Uber. And they were allowing China had their,
that's
their
right.
Uber
That's
here.
what it was for.
Yeah. So it was for they have Uber here so that Chinese people can come from China and they're be at home having a Chinese driver, Uber driver. So in the commercial is Flow Rider and Paris Hilton. Yeah. Now Paris Hilton shot her scenes in New York, and me and Flow Rider shot ours down here. And it was a trip because I saw Flow Rider on set, but he didn't have his glasses on. So I knew he looked familiar, but I didn't know who he was. And it's weird that like it's a really weird thing for me that I could not recognize him without his shades on. If he had had his shades on, I'd have known right away.
Is that the shades with the
gold and everything? I would just know. No, the gold frames. It's just sunglasses.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's just sunglasses, but
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
I walked out of the car after shooting my scene, and he was in makeup, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" So I thought he knew me. So I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" I was like, he goes, "Yeah, I'm getting ready." I said, "Yeah, I'm done for the day, man." And he's like, "You gonna go eat?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, if you're not done, I'll eat with you." And I said, "All right, cool. I'll see you over there." No idea it was him till I saw the camera. I'm like, "Oh, no way!" But I got paid. I was on set maybe for like 40 minutes. I had to learn that song. Can you blow my whistle? And I still don't know it.
But I never heard it.
I didn't even. It wasn't my favorite song, and so learning a song that's not your favorite song was a trip. And so. When I got to the set, I get in there. I'm ready. I've been working on this song for 3 days. I've been learning the words of the song. I get in there and he's like, "Action." Blank. I'm like, hold on. I know the song. He's like, "It's okay. It happens to everybody. It's a normal thing for people to get in front of the camera and freeze."
Yeah, and then all of a sudden something happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we start.
So I actually had to look him up. That's Flo Rida.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
So
not my world.
I thought that. So who made the glasses? The sunglasses that were just lines through them, right? Do you remember those?
Well, yeah, like the Max
white-
Headroom or whatever glasses.
Yeah, I guess like Max Headroom.
Showing my age there, right?
Damn, you remember Max Headroom?
Yeah. I remember when he went on TV and no one knew how he was on TV. He was on like every channel. When I was a kid, I remember him being on like every channel on TV.
And you had no supervision, did you?
None, no.
Well,
no, I'm Gen X. You kidding me?
What are you like?
Oh, yeah.
4?
Me too,
Watching?
by the way. He's not.
I'm Gen X. I was all over the place. My parents had to work. So, it was close the door and don't let anybody in. Even if it's
Yeah.
your uncle, don't let them in.
Oh yeah, me too.
And that was Gen X life.
He's a...
You're a boomer, right?
He is a boomer. Technically speaking, he's a boomer.
Technically by 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I thought you were Gen X. I didn't
No,
know.
they keep changing it. It goes from 45 to 64.
Yeah, they do fluctuate a little bit because I know
Yeah.
that Gen X was considered up to 84 for a while, and now it's down to 81 or 83.
Yeah.
But I feel like
They sort of
I think
move around.
84 is
It
the
depends
cutoff.
on who's putting it together. Like I was born in 1970, which is the very beginning of
Gen X.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm just barely that myself.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, being born in 1964 is really not technically a boomer from
No.
that because it's more of the is it Gen X, right?
yeah, I would. I mean, Gen X is 70s, but yeah, the boomers
it
ran
starts
all the way through. But I don't feel like.
The Gen X starts 65.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
According to that, and boomers end 64, Gen X picks up in 65. Same thing, no supervision.
Yeah, no supervision. We were just remember the commercials. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah, do you remember that? Yeah. I mean, we'd just be gone all day and never.
Yeah,
Like-
I look at my son, and first of all, the things that I did running around Chicago. I lived in a neighborhood in Chicago.
1965 to 1980.
There it is.
Yeah.
So you are officially not Gen X.
I'm not Gen X.
It's crazy.
I'm a boomer, baby.
You're a boomer. But in Chicago, it was just wild running the streets of Chicago at such a young age.
Yeah.
I was on the loose. When I tell you, I would jump on the bus with my friends, and we would go to like Ford City. We'd go to the Rosemont Horizon and see shows. We were literally out of the city.
Chicago.
Yeah, we were on the loose in the city. We'd jump on the bus, jump
How
on
old
the
was
train.
it, you
Like
think?
8, 9 years old.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. And I look at it now because I'm looking. My son is 16 now.
Yeah, he's not allowed to walk to the McDonald's.
Oh,
a
well,
mile
no,
away.
he really is a little adventurer, and I let him. I supervise him, but phones now have trackers, so I know where he's at.
Yeah. No, that's a big benefit.
And he's not a bad kid. Like I did a lot of bad things. He doesn't. He's a fisherman. He's rides his bike. He's you know what I mean. He loves fishing. Goes 3 a.m, gets on his bike, gets all his stuff, his gear, goes down to him, meets up with his friends. They go down the thing and they're fishing.
You know what the difference between the people in prison and the people that aren't in prison?
What?
The people in prison actually did it. because we all think things, right?
Yeah.
We all think
Oh, they are,
crazy,
yeah.
dumb things, right? You know what I mean? You play the scenario out in your head. You know, if I could bet I could rob this store. You know what I mean? You play the whole thing out. How'd you get in? How you get out, right?
They let those intrusive thoughts win.
yeah. They just let those thoughts kind of take over, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I have never done that with stealing, only with murder.
oh, okay. Well, no, it's true. When you have kids, right?
Yeah.
like when my oldest son was born, I was like not the first thing pops in your head, it was like extreme joy. But then there comes a time you're like, yeah, there's no prison term I wouldn't do.
Right. That's
Standing on my head,
true. That's
right?
true.
Standing on my
For
head.
my kids, yeah, absolutely.
Yep, 100%. Now, I will tell you this. So I have 6 grandkids. So ages 3 to 10. Okay. Well, be 10 in August. For me, the best part about being a grandparent is...
You can give them back.
No.
Oh.
That too. But that's... No, because, you were just talking about like how you have a tracker for your son, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can track him.
Yeah.
Right? And we had no supervision.
None.
Like we get on our bikes in the morning, be gone. All day.
Yeah.
Drinking out of water, out of a
Water hoses. Yep.
Well, to hop on like a bus and that's gone. I mean, that's so because like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gone.
I was gonna describe when I was like 6, 7-ish, we would hop on our bikes and go. But I was in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
It's a lot smaller than it is now. It's a lot more dangerous now. But we would just leave and had to be back by 6
Street
p.m.
lights. When the street lights come on.
So we have like water bottles on our bikes that we used to sneak up to people's houses to refill them. I mean, it
You
was
were bougie.
crazy.
You had water bottles?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were rich. Well, I think they were in like our backpack though.
Backpack? Who had a backpack?
Oh, we didn't have anything.
Oh my gosh, we had nothing. I remember, you'd rip a hole in your jeans, right? And my mom would go to like Woolworth or Jefferson Ward or something.
Zare.
We didn't even have Zares back then. And then she would get the patches that you would iron on.
Oh yeah.
But
on the inside.
Yeah, that felt like freaking sandpaper.
Yes.
So it's like, oh.
Your jeans were no good after that.
Yeah. Even when you walk, they just rubbed your knee raw. Yeah.
That was you know what
The
else
joys
we
of being
dealt-
poor.
Yeah. You know what else we dealt with
but
that
that
these
was
kids
like
don't know?
the thing. Everybody did that.
Yeah.
Remember the Halloween masks? You couldn't breathe in those
Oh,
things?
yeah, the plastic ones with the little eye slits. Yeah.
Yeah, those were brutal.
Yeah. You put it on the
Gen
top of your
Xers,
head and just walk down.
But anyway, so getting back to the thing is that the thing about being cool about being a grandparent is this: all the things that you worry about raising your kids that never happen,
Right.
right? But you
Right.
run around and you're always worried this, that, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think different for men, maybe too,
Yeah.
than it is for women. Like my wife, she.
Oh yeah, my wife panics.
Yeah, Jordan was in the Marines and he hurt his knee, and he tried to get through without anybody noticing. But then someone said, "Hey," so he had to come out of this special rotation he was doing,
Right.
for treatment, right? And he didn't want to do it anyway. So he told me about it, and I waited like a few weeks to tell my wife because, like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's sometimes it's better to tell her when he's already on the mend.
Yeah. So when things are better, right?
Yes.
So, but this is the conversation we had. We went to a burger place over here in Charm City, right? So we're sitting there, and I said to her, "Oh yeah, by the way, Jordan, hurt his knee in training." She's like, "Oh, I don't want him addicted to drugs." I'm like,
What?
"How did you get there? Like, how did you go from he hurt his knee to being a drug addict?" Like. What?
That's a jump.
Well, yeah, like there's a lot of landscape in between those two items. Like, how did you get there? Like, did you take a bus or something, like a subway? Like, I don't even know how you made that leap
Jet airplane.
to get over there. But that's for me. That's the thing, right? Like, you guys are much younger. Well,
Yeah, I'm 48.
okay, so yeah, I'm 60. I'll be 61 in a couple months.
Oh, okay.
Travis
54.
is what? 64? You said?
54.
Oh, 54.
Yeah.
I'm a Gen Xer, man.
I know.
Yep.
I know.
By 5 years, by the way.
Yeah, by
Yeah,
5 years.
he's
yeah.
official. He's at the heart of it.
Oh, he's in the middle of it. Yeah, he's definitely in the middle of it. But yeah, so it's different, right? Because you guys are at a different age in your life right now.
Yeah.
You guys still have kids at home.
Yeah.
Yep.
I still have a kid at home. She's 37.
Yeah.
But that's not because of,
Yeah. She's
It's just the economy sucks, and
right. It's just I don't know how people are surviving. To be honest with you, I don't know how. Sometimes I don't know how I'm
that's
surviving. Like, man.
Oh yeah,
How do you buy a house down here?
you can't.
It's impossible.
No, I know that I couldn't buy my house now.
No,
I couldn't either.
Yeah. And
no
then
way.
it's
Crazy.
funny because when I tell people, I'm like, yeah, I own a house in the Highlands in Pompano, and they're like, oh, in the Highlands, really? And I'm like, listen, 10 years ago, you would not have made that face. You'd have been like, oh, the Highlands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, you live in the Highlands. And I'm like, no, it's not like that. But, people have an impression.
we bought our house for $319,
Yeah.
like in 2019.
I bought mine for like 120
Right, exactly. But here's the deal.
How long ago?
in 2008.
2000.
Yeah, right after when my trial ended.
Okay.
3
so
months
that
later, I bought a
was
house.
2008. That was just as the market was starting to really tank.
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what happened was it tanked. It ended up tanking really bad in 2009, and that's when I homesteaded my taxes. My taxes are homesteaded at like 66,000
Oh,
because the value dropped. I
Right.
bought the house, and the thing was, my house was like a crack house. So these people took the copper pipes out of the wall. They took the electric.
Shit, like rebuild.
Yeah,
it
like
all
I would
from-
find all the wiring for the electric. They were shaving the wire off and leaving the plastic. They were taking just the wire. Like they spent time. And
Wow.
when I bought the house, it was so bad it was not livable, and so I had to finance this whole other repair to get it livable.
sure.
It was like $60,000 extra to make the house livable. But what was happening was every time I would go there, somebody was in the house. So I was like, what the heck? So I had chalice windows. So I closed all the chalice windows, I locked all the doors, put new locks on it and everything. And then they were still getting in. And so I would go there, and I started going there late at night because I was like, all right, I'm going to start warning these people. I'm going to show up. I opened the door. I came in the house, and I was like, yo, I'm the owner of this house. If you're in this house, I'm armed right now. Do not make any fast moves. Make yourself known. And people are like, yeah, we're here. How did you get in? The sliding glass door. All right, I need you to leave and don't come back, and tell your friends don't come back. It was bad. And so then one day I was telling my little sister, because that house used to be owned by a friend of ours. And I was telling my little sister, I said, I don't know how these people keep getting in the house. I locked the sliding glass door. And she's like, oh, if you grab two of them at the same time, it opens.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. So I went and I went to the house one night, and boom, and it did.
It's
And I'm like,
opened
you
right up.
gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
So I ended up making drilling a hole into, so that now I put a nail in there. So when it's locked, all
I
three
have that
doors
in
are
mind
locked.
as
Yeah,
well.
So it's safe to say that you didn't get accused of robbery for breaking and entering.
No, that of all the crazy things I've done,
definitely wasn't breaking and
I never
entering.
was a thief. And I just was not my thing. I didn't steal from people or
Yeah.
stores or.
Graffiti artist.
I was
That
a
your
graffiti
thing.
artist. That
Yeah.
was my thing. I was a gangbanger for a little while, but I joined the gang because I had to. It wasn't because I wanted to. When you're in the city and you're in that neighborhood and they decide you're in. It was like either
Really?
you join us or they
Leave
find
us.
your body.
Right.
That's crazy.
I'm in.
I love you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a different world, and at the time, when I joined, my parents had divorced. My dad was actually always was an outreach guy, so he was working with gang members to keep people out of gangs. But his son joins them because he was so busy with them. and I grew up, and when I grew up, my dad was rough. My dad's a pastor now, but I tell people I did not grow up with a pastor father. I grew
Right.
up with what I call Kenny BC.
Yes.
Yep. Before Christ.
Yes, and he really was a whole nother. He's an amazing father. He always was an amazing father, but there was aspects of his fathering that could have been better. But when I look at him now versus who he was, it's enough to make anybody say, "Oh yeah, there's definitely a God. There's definitely a Christ that changed this guy," because he was just not a good person.
Wow.
And so it was like I grew up rough. I grew up with a rough dad. Grew up in the hood. I grew up that stereotypical life of a Puerto Rican in Chicago. But which was weird because I looked Mexican, so a lot of Puerto Ricans didn't like me. They were like, Mexican.
You don't look Mexican to me.
It
But
depends.
anyway.
It depends on where I go.
What do I know?
If I'm in Miami, I'm Cuban. If I'm in New York, I'm Puerto Rican. If I'm in LA, I'm Mexican. So,
That's hilarious.
whatever they want to make me. I mean,
I don't care.
Are you Puerto Rican?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Puerto
My
Rican.
daughter-in-law is Puerto Rican.
Oh,
I knew
nice.
that, Tom, because
I know because you asked me if he was
I did some research.
My mom was part Norwegian.
really.
Yeah, my grandmother was a Spencer. She was kicked out of the royal family for marrying a Puerto Rican.
Really?
No
Can't
way.
make this up. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
hilarious.
Yeah, it's when you look at the lineage, my father's like mother's father or something was like an African slave that was from. They used to train him in Puerto Rico.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like wild. Like I've got slavery and royalty all in my family, in my blood.
That's a wild story.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go back a minute because, like I heard he's like, yeah, we're going to have MagChop on. He actually referred to you as MagChop.
It's okay. A lot of people do.
So,
If I'd have said Kenny, he'd have been like, what? Who?
I mean,
Kenny Chesney?
all I could think was like,
Kenny Hill.
and I didn't know anything. I'm like, MagChop, chop shop, what? And then he started to talk about like the cars and the lowriders. I'm like, that feeds right into chop shop.
And Puerto Rican.
Yeah. See?
And Puerto Rican now too. All the stereotypes.
All the stereotypes right there. Yeah.
But how did you get this artwork? You said it started out that you used to draw, and then your mom died, and then you just lost all of your whatever
Yeah.
ability to
The visuals that I would see on the paper, I would actually look at paper, and there was an image that I could
and
literally
you draw that.
Yeah, I could literally tell you, like, look, watch this. I'm going to make a random line here, and that line will become part of the piece. And you're like, oh my gosh, it fits perfectly because I saw it there already.
That's crazy to me.
Right.
That's the thing about artists that they can do that.
Yeah,
I'm just baffled by that. Like,
that's
how
wild. Yeah.
how do you like when I see someone that draws like really cool artwork? I'm like, how do you even envision that in your head?
Yeah, it was just there.
Right? No, it's a gift.
Yeah, it was just, and then one day it wasn't.
And then it wasn't. So then how did you get into you just
To the
started
collages?
to get- and magazines used to be a huge thing.
Yeah.
Gen Xers.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not in your day. It was
Mad
more
Magazine,
like,
baby.
rocks and
No, shut up.
Pet rocks.
Stones and sticks. You know.
stone tablets.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, we had Mad Magazine.
Yeah,
Like that was.
But now there's not that. I mean, they're around, but it's just not a thing. Like you don't have stacks of mags at your house.
I do.
Well, you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And there's still publications, and I still can pull stuff off of them. Sometimes sometimes I have to print stuff,
Yeah.
but I got to print it on something that's going to be good quality
Right.
image. 'Cause
And then how does it work? Like you're starting to see, like you get like a piece that's like a base, and then you start to build off of that.
yeah, I have the image in my mind. I know what the piece is going
That's
to look
what's
like.
going to be my next question.
I just can't see it down on paper. I can only see it in my mind. And so when I start looking for stuff, and I'm like, oh, or it's like I'm trying to tell a story. Each one of my pieces does tell a story.
So you're
Because
looking
well,
for
they're-
pieces of a puzzle
Yes, that's never been put together.
that you know what right.
Yes.
You know what it looks like created, but now you're trying to. That is super interesting.
Yeah,
his artwork has names too.
yeah. All the pieces are named.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I am embarrassed. I don't.
it's okay. So one of them is called, like the one I'm wearing here. This one is called First Impression,
Yes.
and it's named First Impression because this piece was made 5 years before any of the other ones were made. When I was having that conversation with Jerry Gladstone, and he told me that people want something in their house that tells a story about them, I thought to myself, I don't have anything like that. I mean, I have a bunch of sports stuff, but there's nothing that really tells a story about me. So, in the time that I was getting ready to buy my house, we were getting ready to move, we were trying to offload a lot of stuff, and I threw away my wife's collection of Vogue magazines, or Cosmopolitan, because whichever's the one that you stack them up and then there's somebody on the side, she collected them.
What?
Yeah, these
Never knew
magazines.
that. But that's cool.
Yeah, these magazines. If you stack them up, the spine, we put it together. It's like a guy's torso.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
What magazine is that?
I think it's either Cosmopolitan or Vogue or one of those magazines that has you stack the spine up, and when you look at them, it's like a guy's torso or something. There's an image there.
That's
That's
crazy.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I threw them out. So then she tells me, well, since you throw away mine, you got to throw away your lowriders. And I was like, okay, but before I do, I'm going to make a piece out of them. I'm going to make an art piece out of them. So every day for 4.5 months, I came home and I spent hours working on looking through every magazine, and I knew that I wanted to tell a story about me. And I used it in I created first impression.
Yeah.
And so I did it, and I once I was done, I framed it, and my mom fell in love with it. It was hanging in my house for a little while. My mom really loved it. So I gave it to her, and I hung it in her house. It is the only piece my mother ever saw. Sorry, choking over here. So
You need something to drink?
yes, that would be great.
That's great.
Well, just so happens I got a cooler.
Do you? Look at that, Travis.
What's the button for Florida Man?
I don't know. Look up. It tells you on the screen. Look on the screen.
Oh, it tells you. Nice.
We have not used that in a while.
No.
All
We used to do, when we first started out, we used to do an episode called Florida Man.
Oh boy.
So we would play that music. Like we'd like stop either at the end of the show or halfway through, and we'd do a segment on Florida Man because Florida Man's hilarious.
Yes.
And there's all you gotta do is Google Florida Man, and then it just pops up on the internet, right? And so we would do this. I found that music and put that on one of the pads, and
I will take the Modelo.
Or I've got a fancy papers.
Oh no, that's Modelo. It is.
you want a koozie?
Yeah, let me get one of your koozies.
Here, I'll give you one.
All right.
Hazy.
What does he
I
give
have
the?
more.
What does he give the Puerto Rican Modelo? Like, what is up with that?
Well, Mexican beer, and I play Mexican on TV.
He looks Mexican.
Oh yeah,
No, I love Modelo.
I just wanted you to say it out loud. That's all. Just wanted you to own that.
All right, so
What do you got for me?
Tom, I do have a athletic IPA. This is non-alcoholic brew. It's actually pretty good.
Is it? Well, I'll try it.
You like try it, and it's not overly IPA-ish.
I'm not an IPA kind of guy.
Yeah, me either.
And I'm gonna have a Terrapin. This is brewed in Athens. I think this is from Athens, Georgia,
Oh wow.
which is where the University of Georgia is. Is this Athens? Yes, Athens, Georgia.
One of my manufacturers for my bathing suits was in Georgia, in a place called Americus.
I remember that. Yeah, you used to go up there to.
I went up there and I learned how to cut my own patterns.
Yes.
That was a trip. And learning how to cut. You ever see those people that when they make it out of paper and they have all these papers hanging? Those are
So
patterns.
I hate to admit it, but
Yeah.
my wife is a big fan of what is that fashion show where they compete against each other?
Oh yeah.
It's on for years and years.
Yeah, it's on. What's the channel?
Oh, you know what's funny? I don't watch a lot of TV, and I always get in trouble for mentioning that, but I don't.
And then at the end, they've got like Fashion Week
Runway,
with
it's,
all of their
something Runway or something like that.
Project Runway.
Project Runway.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's watched that for years, and
Tyra.
It's not always on, but it's on enough that I've seen enough of the episodes, and I don't know if they're even still.
If they're shooting new
filming
ones,
it, but-
like just reruns.
But I've watched enough of it that I've seen how they start with the paper and they're
Yeah.
shopping for materials and the fabrics. So it's pretty.
I had to learn
interesting.
all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So of
It's
course, my question to Tom was, "Is he gay?" He's like, "No, no." I'm like, "Okay, well, like,
Straighter than Indian here.
like, like."
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
80%, like 80% of the people on the show are generally gay. The men, not the women.
Right. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. And
It
then,
just-
I work with a
way
lot.
it is.
I actually did. And interviewed one time the owners of Pulse, where the shooting was at.
Oh, the Pulse nightclub.
Yeah, when I was
in
on
Orlando.
Because I did a fashion show in Orlando, and some of the proceeds went to that, to the victims' families.
And that was a crazy one.
It really was. It was really horrible what happened there. But I actually, it is a very dominated like that industry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it however it works, why, but it isn't
Well-
all. But what's so interesting about the show is how they progress. And you can see how, like, someone will take, I mean, they're all like good, but
Yeah.
some are
Oh, yeah.
okay, and they'll go up to here like quickly.
A
Like,
lot
you
of the
can
designers
watch
that I've
them
met-
progress very rapidly.
Yeah, some of the designers that I've met that that were gay, I get along with them really great. Some of them are just really their mind's on another level of creativity when it comes to designing, and it's like, man, like you you wonder like how is that? You know, like, well, where do I fit in that? Because it was funny because one of the designers I know, I'm really good friends with him, and he happened to stumble upon one of my father's sermons, and so after the Fashion Week show, we were all at like a local bar, everything, and he says, "I got to ask you, Kenny Ruiz, is that your dad?" And I go, "Yeah, that's my father." He goes, "He's a pastor," and I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You know, he's not a big fan of the gay community." I said, "Well, it's not that he's not a fan of the gay community. He doesn't treat anybody different." I said, "But I understand what you're asking." And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, do you share that sentiment?" And I said, what sentiment do you mean?" And he goes, you see, homosexuals, you see us gays as like sinners. And I go, that's a great question. I said, since you've known me, I said, before I get to this answer, since you've known me, have I ever treated you, and this is like, known this guy for like 3 or 4 years now, if I ever treated you any kind of different in any way that would make you see? He goes, "No, not at all." And there was a time where when we were doing the show together and some of his male models were having locker room talk, and it was about me. And I happened to walk in. Very uncomfortable. But I was like, "Go ahead, guys," and I walked out.
It happens to Travis all the time.
So, so I said, even when we had the locker room talking, nothing. He's like, "Nothing." I said, "Okay." So I said, if you're asking me if I believe what the Bible says about homosexuality being a sin, yes, I do. I said, but the Bible also says that if you are a married man, you look upon a woman and lust after her, you've already committed adultery. I said, so...
We're all sinners.
I said, so I cannot judge your
club.
sin because I'm over here being an adulterer, and I got to worry about my sin. He goes, "Wow, I never heard that before." That's I go, because that's how I am. I'm not judging people by their sin. I judge you by the content of your character. My job is just to tell you about Christ.
If I couldn't be friends with people who had sin in their life, I couldn't even talk to myself.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, and I told him, I said, the difference between your sin and my sin is I don't put it on a flag and wave it around. That's the difference.
Right. That's a good way. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, we just keep it hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to try, this is all new, right? Have got our cold beer. How's that, by the way?
It's actually really good.
Athletic.
It's cold.
Yeah.
So
I bought that. A friend of mine who had developed a allergy to alcohol, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
But
That can happen.
got developed. I don't think he was ever a real big
Drinker,
but he got to the point where he'd have a beer and he'd get a crazy headache, but he wanted beer. So he got this. He's like, "Man, so if I'm cooking at home and I want one beer, but I don't want the calories, this is 280 calories. That's 65 calories."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's got the. But anyway,
Tom's gonna check. He's
No. So you know the backstory, right?
about what?
When I left the company.
Your company?
Yeah.
Yeah. What the mutiny?
Well, before the mutiny,
No, I didn't know. I don't know about before.
I was out.
You were sick. I remember.
He was out for a year. I had
You almost died.
Yeah, I had a liver transplant.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
he looked dead for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah,
I was like,
I looked like Homer Simpson.
Wow.
I was actually probably just a couple of days away from dying.
I remember when things started falling
Couple
apart.
times.
When I would call
Yeah.
there, and I would get upset because I'm like, "Yo, you guys need to treat me better." Tom will be mad at you for treating me like this. You know what I mean? I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
And
Well, here's the thing. So that whole thing, right? So I was out for a year, right? But them treating you badly, when I wasn't there, the difference is that it wasn't their business,
right.
right? And so I approached you the same way I approached all my customers. One of my customers is a guy by the name of Sean Ryan. Okay, he came in, was doing 24 hats and 24 t-shirts, right? He has probably in his genre, the number one podcast in the world.
Oh wow. Okay.
In his genre. He's been on Joe Rogan. He's interviewed President
wow.
Trump.
Actually, he's normally number two overall behind
Joe
Rogan.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy
That's
good
wild.
podcast.
But here's the thing. When he came to me, he was doing a small amount of stuff. He was not a very talkative person. Him and I developed a relationship, you know what I mean? And And because my philosophy was I'm going to invest in the people that I think have a chance at doing something, right? And so that's what I did. I invested in him. He ended up doing just under $1 million in revenue on his website
Wow.
after being with us for like 14 months.
Wow.
Because he was a master marketer,
Yeah.
and he was a Navy SEAL, CIA guy,
Yeah.
and so same things with you. I liked your stuff.
Yeah.
I liked your energy. I liked everything about you.
Yeah,
And
and he treated me good. He was very good to do business with. That's one thing I can always say. That I always say that you had a standard of treating people that was like you felt like family when you went in. I would go in there and I would sit on one of the girls in the office. She had like a massage chair, and I would just go in there and sit there. Even if I wasn't ordering, I'd show up. If I was in the neighborhood, I'm gonna stop by.
Yeah, that's funny.
sit in the chair, have a massage.
Yep.
But sometimes it would be like I'd have to kick people out because I'd be like, "Hey, man, I know you want to just sit here and hang out all day." Because we did cool stuff, so it was like people
Yeah.
wanted to see that too,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. He had laser engravers they really cool laser engraver that had MagChop stuff on it. I was like, yeah. He was like, hey, I got this. Want to see?
I
It's
think
cool.
I was there. I was the trial customer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Because I gave Alec a knife,
Well,
a Swiss
you
Army knife.
engraved his knife.
The
I gave
hats are
him one.
cool. You guys' hats are cool.
Oh no, I gave somebody else a knife.
Did you make the hats?
Yeah, I had these. I didn't make them. I had
Oh.
these made.
They're nice.
Aren't they cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like stapled on there, or no, not.
No, it's
riveted.
It's
It's like
riveted on
riveted.
there.
Yeah.
I
That's
was,
pretty
I,
cool.
I was
Pretty good
looking
idea,
at it. I was like,
actually.
man, that's a cool. And I had a shirt, a set of shirts that came out, license plates.
Yeah, yeah. I remember
that
those.
said bumper checking, and
Yeah.
it's a lowrider thing. With when you're hopping the car, the idea is to hop the car high enough so it hits the back bumper on the
Yeah.
ground. And so I came out with license plates that said bumper checking on them, and then
Yeah.
in the orange in the Florida, the orange had a car on his bumper.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I-
anyway,
so I
so
like
yeah, so
that.
they just stopped treating you and
Yeah, it
nicely.
was.
But I had to stop drinking, and I was never a drinker anyway. I mean, it's not what caused my liver to fail. It's a genetic disorder.
Oh,
So-
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And my sister just passed away in October from the same disorder. Only hers affected her lungs, and she had a double lung transplant.
You can transplant lungs?
Yeah,
When did that start?
yeah,
Crazy, right?
Oh my gosh, that's nuts.
yeah. So she went down. She never came out of ICU. She was in there for 7 months in
Wow.
ICU and just didn't make it out.
I'm terrified of of having like a health issue and going to go to the doctor.
Well, I will tell you this: if you have to go into the hospital, you have to have an advocate. I probably wouldn't be here if my wife had not been at the hospital every single day for over like 35 days.
Wow,
Yeah.
Every day.
they'd let you die.
She'd get there at 9. She'd get there like 10 a.m. and be there till after shift change, because they 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
She'd be there till like 8 or 9 at night, drive home from Miami,
Wow.
come back the next day.
Yeah, if I get some kind of sickness, I'm going to tell you now. I'm just going to start doing crazy stuff. I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm climbing Mount Everest. I'm going to be one of the frozen bodies up there.
That
I don't
want
wanna
to
die in a
song,
hospital.
doesn't it, Tom?
Yeah.
I don't want to die like that in a hospital. Like,
No, that's
I don't want to die that way. I'm terrified of, honestly, the medical community. Like, I don't take the medicine. I didn't take the jab. I don't take flu shots. I don't take Tylenol for a headache. I just don't. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I just, when I had COVID, I actually caught COVID shooting a movie from a guy who just got the vaccine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He came in, he was coughing. We're like, bro, what's wrong with you? You got COVID? He's like, nah, bro, I'm good. I got the vaccine yesterday.
It didn't work quite that
Within
fast.
7
Actually,
days,
doesn't
we
work
were
at all.
all sick. And we thought it was heat exhaustion.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so in the movie The Squad, I'm driving a 1978 Monte Carlo. It's 106 degrees in Houston. We're supposed to be shooting in wintertime. So I got a suede jacket on because it's like circa 70s, 80s. So I got a shirt on. I got the suede jacket. It's like a collared shirt, like a button-up shirt. I got jeans on, and we drive crazy in this Monte Carlo. I jump out. We got to shoot everybody. Then we had to shoot the scene again over and over. It's 106 degrees. And this car had no AC. Beautiful car, no AC. But we all thought we had heat exhaustion. And it was like we went back to the hotel, and I go into my room, And I was like, I'm going to jump in the shower. I laid down in the shower and I passed out. My foot covered the drain. I woke up because I almost drowned, but I couldn't get out of had no strength to get up out of the tub.
Wow, that's crazy.
So I just kind of crawled out and I fell on the floor, and I can hear, because the director, the way it was situated, my door's closed, but then there was these other doors and it looked like closet doors, but that's how you got into where my room was. And I can hear them out there, and I couldn't talk. I couldn't barely breathe. And I'm like, and I'm thinking my phone was on the counter, and I could see my phone, and I'm like, man, I'm going to die on a hotel room floor for no reason. But I'm naked. So I took the towel. I was able to pull the towel down. I put it around my waist, and I just closed my eyes and was like, this is it. So I woke up in the morning, and I was like, I'm alive. And I remember slowly getting up. I got dressed. I opened the door, and I see feet. The director's on the floor, and I don't even know if he's alive. He's pale. And I'm like, oh, no. So I walk over to him, and I'm like, Juan, you got to wake up. So I'm checking his pulse, and I don't know how to check a pulse, apparently, because I'm thinking he's dead. So I'm like, oh, my God, what do I do? I'm like, I got to call 911. And then he like does a cough, and I'm like, oh, he's not dead. So I pick him up, and I put him on the couch, and I put a blanket on him, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just sitting there in the there's like a table off to the side, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like waiting for him to wake up, and he's like coughs a little bit, and he opens his eyes, and I was like, yo, Juan, you up? And he's like, bro, I canceled the shoot for today. I don't know what's wrong with me. I go, bro, you were on the floor. You were on the floor. He's like, how did I get here? I go, I put you on the couch. He's like, all right. So he gets up and he makes his way over to his room and he shuts the door. We slept the whole day, got up the next day. I shot my scene sick and then got on a plane, not knowing I had COVID. And of course, that was the time when they had the stupid masks on, which I knew they didn't work, but everybody wanted them on. And I'm sitting there, and I know the person next to me was mad because they ran off the plane. As soon as that door opened, they got up and ran. I was laying there, I'm sweating the whole flight.
That's crazy.
And I tell them, I go, listen, I got heat exhaustion. I just shot a film. So bear with me. That person was scared. So then I get off the plane. And I go and my wife's picked me up, so I put my cologne on. Now, I ran out of cologne, so I bought cologne while I was in Texas. So I opened the thing, and I'm like, man, they ripped me off. It has no smell. So I cap it, and I'm all upset, and I'm like, these people ripped me off. So I'm walking through the airport all angry because I spent like, $80 on this cologne. And I walk outside, and there's a diesel truck that's sitting there, and I could see the little smoke, and I looked at it, and I was like, I gotta know. And I walk over to the truck and I lean to the exhaust and nothing.
That's crazy.
Oh no. Because the only thing that I knew about COVID was you lose your sense of smell. And I'm like,
it was really crazy. Actually, my daughter in our family, I think I got it. My daughter got it. I got a very mild case. My daughter also very mild, but she couldn't eat eggs for almost 2 years.
The smell?
No, they tasted. Horrible.
Yeah, so everything smelled and tasted bad for 2 years.
You could smell it, but
I couldn't smell it.
It tasted horrible.
My dog would take a shit and it would smell just like the steak my wife was cooking, and I couldn't eat. And I was like, it smells the same. Everything smelled the same. It was really bizarre. And then it took a while to get away. But you know what I noticed about COVID? When I had it, I felt like it was like there was something moving in my body looking for ailments. All my scars itched really bad. Any pains that I was having were like exacerbated. It was really bizarre. And I don't have I've screwed myself up, man. I've been told twice in my life I would never walk again. Like, God just really has taken care of me. He's kept me alive. Yeah. So whenever I have a chance where you get those moments, because I haven't gone to church in a while, and I don't live this Christian life. I don't. And so, but there's times, and you would think with everything I went through with my trial and everything, that I'd be Moses. You know what I mean? Like, I should be on his level. Really, I should be. But but there are days or situations that happen that I know God's telling me, okay, you're up. And I have to. When I feel it, I have to. No matter what it is, I have to tell the person who I'm speaking to about Christ at that moment.
Yeah, that's wild.
And it's like, and then I have to, it's almost like you feel bad because I have to just come to listen. I'm not the best guy to be giving this advice, but I have to tell you, this is what was put on my heart. I'm going to tell you. You know what I mean? And like, there was a time where I got invited to speak at a youth convention, and I did artwork with kids and was able to like draw with them and talk to them about, getting out of trouble and being in a gang. And it was crazy because I went to Fort Pierce and I spoke. And I before I went there, I investigated what gangs are in that neighborhood. And so when I went to these kids and I was like, hey, I hear you guys have like a gang problem up here. They were all like, no, we don't. And I was like, what? So I straight up, I was like, well, who are the hot boys? And all of them were like, and I was
Hot Boys?
And that's the name of the gang up there. And they were created because of a gang that came from LA called 18th Street. But they also have MS-13 up there. Fort Pierce is bad. And
Really?
So Fort Pierce is rough. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, like F Street, D Street, this is rough. And so it's like 4th and D Street or something like that. It was out of YMCA there. And I said, I know about 18th Street, I know about MS-13, I know who's in your neighborhood. I go, why do you think I'm dressed the way I'm dressed? I knew not to wear certain colors in this neighborhood. And so they kind of loosened up and they're like, yeah, we have that here. And I was like, listen, you're not talking to somebody who's never been where you've been. I said, I come from a neighborhood in Chicago where we had these problems, and there were people that came to speak to us. They would come to speak to us, and I would say, like, what does this person know about what I'm going through in my life? My neighborhood's like, they don't know my neighborhood. And so I said, I always thought to myself, this person has no clue what I'm going through. And I said, but I do. I'm here to tell you that they did. I listened to them. So listen to me because I know what you're going through. I come from a broken family. And I was like, and I told these, man, this day was something because I said, I come from a broken family, and the biggest realization that I got when I was older was that none of what my parents were going through was my fault.
Yeah.
And that right there, this little girl who was supposed to be, she didn't want to leave her sister's side. This girl's 6 or 7 years old. I was dealing with teenagers. And this little 6-year-old comes walking. She gets up and walks down the aisle towards me when I was standing in the front of the class. And I see her walking towards me, and she's looking, beelining, like right at me. And I know this little girl's got something to say. So I was like, hi. And she's like, you're telling me that even though I hear my parents arguing and saying stuff about me and how much I cost, that it's not my fault. And I go, no, it's not your fault. You have no idea what's going on with their relationship, their bills. You're not responsible for any of that. I said a lot of times, sometimes, you know how when something happens and you don't really want to say that it was you, so you blame someone else because they can't defend themselves or maybe they're not there? And she's like, yeah. And I go, so sometimes parents, they don't know that you're listening and they're just blaming you because they don't want to take the blame themselves. And this little girl cried and hugged me. And she was like,
crazy.
Thank you. And I felt like that was my job.
Yeah.
So when the calling happens, I do it no matter what.
Yeah.
Have to.
That's great.
Because I could be doing time. I was looking at 32 years. I would have been out when I was 64, and the judge told me, if you're found guilty, I'm going to make sure you get no early release and no parole.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
He took the fact that I rejected a plea bargain, reducing my charges so that it would be 3 years probation and no jail time. Their first plea bargain that they offered me was 18 years, 10 in, 8 out. The day of trial, they said, we'll give you 3 years probation, no jail time, and we'll drop all the charges and reduce them to misdemeanors. And I go, no, we're not doing that.
Like, I'm innocent.
Yeah. And they're like, why are you rejecting this plea? I go, because I didn't do this. This was a mistaken identity. Why am I going to be on probation for something I didn't do? And he's like, then the judge said, well, I think as your judge, the the state is being very fair with you, and I kind of think it's insulting that you're not taking this plea bargain. And I was like, well, unfortunately, you're not my judge. You're going to answer to my judge. Everyone here is going to answer to my judge. I didn't do this. And he goes, well, if you're found guilty, you will not be eligible for early release, or you will not be eligible for parole. You will get no gain time. You're going to do 32 years in prison. Do you understand that? And I said, yes, I do. And there it was.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
And it was like things that happened during the trial that could have been mistrialed several times. Like, it was wild.
Yeah.
I was in jail for exactly 40 days. But I was 2 years of my life were taken because I had to be on house arrest.
Sure.
Which prepared me for COVID.
It worked out.
I had training, man. I'm trained.
Oh, that's funny.
wild.
Yeah. It was a really difficult time in my life.
Yeah. I mean, you can't. How do you make an income? How do you?
Right. Nobody would hire me, and I had a very impressive resume.
Well, I
but
mean,
nobody would
if
hire
you're
me.
like locked down.
Yeah. Well, you know what I did? They would allow me. So I told them, I was like, listen, I got to work if I'm out. I can't just
Yeah, you
gotta work.
Got to eat.
So the only place that would hire me was a penny arcade. But the old people would play penny they gamble for Visa cards and gift cards and
Sure.
stuff. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I never knew these things existed. And it was funny because
Travis is checking this stuff out now.
well, yeah, you should go check
Only
it
in
out.
South Florida.
Only in
That's
South
why I
Florida,
moved
baby.
here.
Well, he's getting up there in age, and pretty soon he'll be
You know what
spending
I
his
met there?
Mr.
weekends in
Boomer
the penny
over there.
arcade.
Oh, the boomer over there.
The boomer's talking.
I met a lot of Holocaust survivors there. That surprised me. I got to see the tattoos, the numbers.
Really?
I got to see several people that had that.
That's wild. Yeah.
When I worked for Lisa's dad, he owned a Pontiac dealership.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a assistant service manager there, we had a customer, husband and wife team, right? Not team, right? Husband and wife.
Hey, listen, husband and wife is a team, man.
Yeah, it is.
Team, buddy.
It is a team. Anyway, they survived Auschwitz, and they were also on the Delta airline that crashed in.
The Hudson?
The one that crashed in Dallas, wind shear, back in the 90s when it was landing, and then it slammed to the slammed to the ground. Like there was like 160 people that lived out of whatever 200 or whatever it was, and they both lived.
That's wild.
So they survived the Holocaust and that plane crash.
Jeez.
That's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Chances of that are not good.
No. So you're talking about, talking to that little girl and right. So recently one of my kids shared a story with me about something that I did like in 2000. Had no idea, right? So I was coaching Boca High's ice hockey team. One of the kids in the team, his parents were going through a divorce. Evidently, at this time, he was having a hard time, and I had a conversation with him and explained to him, like, hey, listen, your parents love you. This has nothing to do with you. Kind of like the same thing, right? That this has nothing to do with you. Like, they both still love you, and this is not your fault. Like, you have nothing to do with this. And that made a huge impact on him.
wow.
And
Because when you're a kid, you blame yourself.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like you don't realize the impact you can have on people's lives by just having a simple conversation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And when you feel compelled, right? So evidently at that time I must have felt compelled to say something, right?
Yep.
To have a conversation. And
Those are those special moments.
and you don't like it. That was 2000. It was 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's God knocking
Sounds crazy. 25 years ago.
on your heart.
Yeah.
Saying do something.
Yeah.
And you can't ignore that.
You have to take it because
You
if
have to
not,
take it.
I just feel like there are weird consequences. Like he allows the devil to attack you a little bit. I'm like, all right, I had you protected, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and those things just come up, right?
Yeah, and then you can find yourself because when do most people what do they say? There's no atheist in a foxhole,
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
so most people when they find themselves, it's like You know, I have a friend of mine who's an atheist, and you know, and I was joke with him when he says, "Oh my God," I go, "Wait, who are you talking to?
Careful.
Who are you talking to?"
Who are you talking to? Where? Where's he at?
He's like, "Oh yeah, oh my goodness." I'm like, See,
That's
when you get worried, when things get rough, who do you call? Not Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Not Ghostbusters.
That makes you a Gen Xer because I was just about to say the same thing.
That's official.
That's a Gen X thing.
I saw Ghostbusters and Gremlins as a double feature in a drive-through.
That's
Okay, so
wild.
Ghostbusters came out in like 1984.
83, wasn't it 83?
84. Look it up.
84, yeah.
Ghostbusters.
I believe you.
Ghostbusters.
When
When it
did
came
Ghost-
out, it was a double feature with Gremlins. And Gremlins we thought it was like going to be a comedy, a Christmas comedy. Oh my God. I was
it
a kid.
wasn't.
I was terrified.
That was a very scary movie.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And so we were kids and we were like, you know, even the library scene in Ghostbusters when that ghost was creepy.
Yes.
The lady.
I watched that like a couple months ago with my kids.
Yeah.
Like I have this list of movies that they keep on like a note, and something will pop in my head. I'll quote a movie or something, and I'll say, "Write this one on the list. We gotta watch."
Nice.
And one of them was this was more. This was like early '80s, I think, but Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles. Yeah.
Like I just remember it was hysterical, right? So like I watch it with my kids and I'm like, this is not appropriate.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. There's
I'm
so
like,
many
I
things I said.
forgot.
I'm like,
Have you seen the edited, like when they go, if Blazing Saddles was made for today's audience,
Oh, it'd be horrible.
It's basically the opening and then
the
the
end.
closing.
Yeah, that's it.
No talking.
Oh,
They said
politically incorrect to the
oh
end.
yeah.
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 Agree.
I mean,
Well,
that's
the thing is, he made fun of everybody.
yeah,
Everybody.
we made fun of everyone. No one was safe. And to this day, that's what one thing about Gen Xers. You always know a Gen Xer because you can always throw in a little joke and they're like, yeah.
And nobody cares.
Nobody cares. No.
There's no racist. There's no Gen Xers like escaped for the most part.
Yeah.
Like all of that.
Yeah.
Like
We really did. We grew up in a melting pot. We were latchkey kids. We were the original latchkey kids where we were just out on the loose.
yeah,
Just,
absolutely.
you know, come home when the street lights are on, and, you know, and we joked about everything. We had, you know, even before our time, we got influenced by people from the Boomer era, right? Which was Don
Tom.
Rickles. Don freaking Rickles was the best.
Not your age, right?
know? You remember Don Rickles? He's one of my favorite comedians because
Oh, he's hilarious.
Yeah, you know, when he said, "God, I wish you would just shut up already."
Yeah.
Oh man, he was rough, boy. But we made fun of everything and everyone.
What was the sport you used to play with a football and a bunch of people?
With what?
You just had a football and a bunch of people?
What, two-hand tag? Wait, with street football?
No, you didn't play football. What was the other
We
game
didn't
you
play
played?
it with.
It was
we
like 2-on-2.
Played it with a handball.
Oh, you played with a handball?
Yeah.
I remember shooting a basketball
And you
into a milk crate.
No.
You would stand up against like a wall.
Oh no, that you're talking like dodgeball?
No, I'm talking smear something.
Oh yeah, that was what we just used a football. Like you toss a football at somebody and everybody just tackles them.
Oh.
Gang.
Oh, it was
Gang ball.
yeah, but we called it something else.
Yeah, so did we, but I can't tell you.
I can't think of the name of it though. But we had that.
I know what the name of it is, but I can't tell you.
Do you remember Bases Loaded?
It was called Smear the Queer, okay?
Right.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to play Smear the Queer?
And like nobody cared.
Nobody
Nobody
cared.
cared.
But yeah, it was different. That was
Yeah.
a different day.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny?
That was
I got in when I first
I said that was messed up for sure. But
Yeah.
when I first
But-
got on the air.
it didn't matter then.
I did a show called the Sixth Borough, and we were on the True Oldie station for a year and a half, and I was one of the hosts. And one day I go, man, I didn't think I was gonna make it through traffic. There's a bunch of retards on the road today. Oops! And they got a call instantly from the FCC. I got in trouble with the FCC. We got in
Oops.
trouble so many times because we didn't. So in radio you can't say Guido when referring to Italian unless it's his name. It's like an insult,
Slang. Right.
But it's an
Derogatory.
insult. It's
Yeah.
derogatory. But
Yeah.
A slur.
but Italians don't see it that way. And one of the guys was Italian, so we were like, oh yeah, he was like a Guido guy. And so we got in trouble from the FCC about it. They're like, yo, you guys can't say that. So the next show we did, we brought a guy named Guido.
Oh, that's
Now we can
hilarious.
talk about this guy.
And well, we can talk about, Guido over here. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
we were influenced, obviously, by the Howard Stern show. There's a bunch of New Yorkers. It was called the Sixth Borough. I was the honorary New Yorker. I was the only Chicago in there. But then we had Khalila Ali come on the show, and she's from Chicago as well. So it was dope. We had a little Chicago connection there.
That's hilarious.
I love Khalila. That is my girl. That is my homie right there. I go places with her. Like we say, I've gone to karaoke with her.
Oh, really?
Yes, I didn't sing though.
No. No.
I did sing. There's a comedy. It's on YouTube now called Friend Draft. You have to watch this.
What?
Friend Draft.
Okay.
The premise is this couple is getting a divorce. Their life is fantasy football. And so during the divorce or whatever, they start finding out that the wife went to one party, the husband went to one party, and it was like, wait a minute, that's my friends. Why are you going to my they didn't invite me? So they got upset. So they go to the lawyer, and the lawyer is the world's fastest talking woman. She is awesome, by the way. She went and saw the Titanic. She went down to the bottom to see the Titanic. I can't think of her name right now, but she's the world's fastest talking woman. And so she's in the film as the attorney, and they're like, oh, they're stealing my friends. She's stealing my friends, and she's like, okay, let's take a weekend. I'll think about it. We'll come up with an afternoon. They go in the elevator, and they're in the elevator and sitting there mad. And this guy gets on the elevator, and he's like, yeah, I just drafted a punter, and they're like, what? And they look at each other, and they're like, who drafts a punter? We're going to do a friend draft. And that's what the premise of the movie is. They're going to draft their friends to see who's going to be in their circle.
That's hilarious.
So I play a part of a boy band, but we're like an old guy boy band. And we think we're hot stuff. We think we can sing, you know what I mean? So the leader of our boy band is actually the writer and director. And so, his character is in love with the wife, and he wants to be, he wants her to draft him. So we walk into the cafe where she works, and there's like people sitting there, and we walk in and we're like waving at everybody, but no one's paying attention to us. And so then at the end of the movie, we actually do a music video, and we went into a studio and sang and everything.
That's wild.
It is worth watching. It is a funny movie.
That's
it's
hilarious.
a short film. It's only like 15 or 20 minutes long. It's
what you'll
not
have to
long.
do is you'll have to shoot us all these things, and we'll put everything into the bio.
Yeah, because there's a lot.
page.
There's a lot. It's funny.
I got space.
When I did I did a 3-month exhibit at ArtServe. ArtServe is the biggest gallery in Broward County. It's the oldest gallery in Broward County, and it's the only art incubator in the United States.
What's an art incubator?
Where they have studios in the gallery so that artists can create art, and they create art specifically for commercial products as well. So that's
So it's like a remote studio?
No, it's all in the big building. It's a big building.
But artists can go there
Yes.
and utilize those spaces?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can do that. And so they have members. You have a membership. So I have a membership with them and everything. But I did a 3-month exhibit there. And I forgot what I was going to say while I was telling you guys I did that.
Oh, no worries. I mean, you drank almost a quarter of a beer. So
Yeah, but I've gotten to like, it's been really cool to have like some of these exhibits though. It's a 3-month exhibit there.
Yeah.
Then I did 3 months. My artwork was at the Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce building downtown.
Yeah,
I had
sure.
my artwork decorating there. It's been a cool thing. I just don't. I'm trying to think of what I was going to tell you guys about that.
Don't worry. Tonight around 10 o'clock, you remember.
Yeah, that's when it's going to hit me. I was like, oh yeah,
I forgot.
Text Tom.
We'll just put that in the show notes.
Yeah, just add to the show. Kenny remembers.
I know now.
Oh,
Because when I did that, like I was saying, there's
Much
a lot.
faster.
yes.
Yes. When I was saying that there's a lot to put, when I did that show at ArtServe, the bio was like two rows of papers down.
Oh, that's
gotta-
hilarious.
You gotta limit it down some.
They did it. I didn't do it. They were like, oh, we'll write your bio for you. And I was like,
Really?
okay. So I walked in and I was like, what's that? And they're like, it's pretty much everything you've done. They're like, there's a lot. And there was people that sat there and read, and they read the whole thing. I was really,
Yeah, that's wild.
I was
know-
shocked.
So here's something I take away from that. I think the average person should do that.
What, write a bio of what they've accomplished?
Yeah, because how many
Yeah.
people go through life thinking I've done
never-
nothing, right? Stay-at-home moms, I've done nothing. Like my wife was a stay-at-home mom until kids were old enough to go to school, and then she went to work and all that kind of
Man,
stuff.
stay-home mom is a job in itself, man.
No,
Big time.
it's a full-time job.
It sure is.
No,
Yeah.
but think about it though, right? Like people listening to you think, oh wow, Kenny, MagChop Kenny, he's accomplished all these things, because you're all things, right?
Yeah.
But the average person, like, what have I done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's
it's like,
true.
no, man. To sit back and think of all the things you've done,
yeah.
like all the things you've accomplished in your lifetime. How many people have you affected?
You got to challenge your listeners. Be like, listen, I want you guys to write that in. Submit a few of them.
Yeah.
You read them on the air and be like, listen, this person did this. They didn't think they did it. They might discover something about themselves that they didn't know.
That's a
Yeah.
long list of stuff. Wow. Actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times when it's still to this day where I can have a conversation with my kids and they're like, when did you do that?
Oh, believe me, I've known Tom now for a long, long time. Almost every time we get together, I find out about a new job he had, including today. I didn't know he was an actor.
Yeah, you seem
I'd be
genuinely
like, yeah,
surprised by that.
man, I just got a welder. He's like, oh, I used to weld professionally.
What? Yeah.
Or be like,
he is that guy. He really is. He's like a jack of all trades. He's done it all. But you know what? You're a very meticulous person too. You're very detail oriented.
Yes.
Because when you used to make the buffs for me, no one else could make them where it didn't look like everyone had a line.
Yeah.
You're the only one that didn't have a line.
Oh, at the
At the seam. It was colored to the end, and I never knew how he did it because I bought a heat press, I bought buffs, I went and bought the sublimation stuff. Could never do it, and I had other people that I was like, "Hey, can you do this for me?" And they were like, "Yeah," and get it back. I'm like, there was always, if there was a crease, you know what I mean? Like you put it on and you have a little white line in the color. Never had that with Tom. Quality.
all that stuff. I've got one of the buffs. I forget which one it is though.
Probably Wild Bill.
It might be the Wild Bill. That's this one.
Yeah,
right?
Captain
Yeah,
Wild
okay.
Bill. Yeah.
Oh, that's got the spelling.
So what's
error
the
on it?
story?
That
of
does
Wild
not have
Bill?
that. So Captain Wild Bill from Dead Late's Catch, the TV show, the crab
okay.
guys, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I met Captain Wild Bill up at ICAST, which is the world's largest fishing expo type thing.
Okay.
Right. So everybody in the fishing world is there.
But he used to live in Pompano, right? Or part time in Pompano, or no?
No, he lives. His home is in Mexico.
Oh.
He has a place in Mexico. And then he spent a lot of time in the Keys fishing and stuff. Anyway, so I met him there, and we ended up building a website for him, and then selling all of his merchandise for him, producing it and selling his
wow.
merchandise. And
pretty cool.
Yeah, super cool guy. We created his logo that he has now for him. It was just like, I enjoyed that because it was very artistic.
Yeah.
And I liked it because I could use my artistic ability. You know what I mean? Like when you would come to me and say, "Oh, I want to do this or that," and be like, "Yeah, man, we can do that. Let's try it."
Oh yeah, it was everything. And I, like I said, I was a yes man. Anybody came to me and they were like, "Hey, can you do this?" Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
I've done book covers. I have a book cover. So there's a woman who changed the way they hire, fire, and demote and promote women in the FAA. And this woman went into hiding. She had to go into hiding. She had death threats and everything. She changed all that because they were going to crash 2 planes in New York just to get this woman fired. That's how deep it went. And she caught it. And she saved the planes and then exposed everybody. It was a big deal. She was on, what's that lady remember the lady with the red glasses?
Sally
Jesse Raphael. She was on her show. She got interviewed on CNN, all this kind of stuff.
Chicago.
Yeah.
That's where she was from.
She was from Chicago, yeah. With Jerry.
Yep. Jerry Springer.
So, this lady, she is a race car fan, and so I created a memorabilia piece for a race car driver, and she wanted one of the pieces, and she bought it. And so when I went to deliver it to her, we ended up in a conversation, and she told me who she was. And she said, I'm writing a book about it. And I said, oh, that's pretty cool. Like a year later, she called me and was like, hey, listen, they've shown me a bunch of book covers, and I don't like any of them. Can you make me a book cover? Can you, like, collage me a book cover? I go, yeah,
Sure.
why not? And I did. The book is called My Last Transmission. And the picture is my hands going behind her. Well, it's not her, it's my wife. And it's my wife and I on the cover of the book. And I did the book cover.
Oh, that's cool.
And then there's I have 3 book covers out that I did, and one of them I'm on the cover. It's called Operation Retribution. I'm on the cover, and the picture is actually from Palm Beach Swim Week, but it says New York Fashion Week in the background because the book takes place in New York. But,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
we changed that.
I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah, and
Who
then,
cares?
And then the other book I did the cover on is called Crimea River of Blood, but it's Crimea, like Crimea, yeah, Crimea,
Oh,
and it says
wow.
River of Blood, and it's got like a V, and it's got a blood drop, and it's got a target. So I've gotten to be a part of some cool stuff. You know, I've done a couple movie posters. The movie posters I've done them. You know, they were like, oh, I want you on there, so I did it.
Yeah.
And you know, that was cool. I've gotten to be. Everyone was like telling me to try different things. So I did her book cover, and it came out really cool. So you know,
There it is.
there it is. So that was the first one. It was CQ, My Last Transmission, but she dropped the CQ part, and now it's just My Last Transmission.
I recognize your fingers.
Yep. Now, if you notice in the picture, I took my ring off. My wife is wearing her ring to show that she was a married woman who was going through something, and there was a guy that was approaching her. She was sexually harassed. It was a nightmare.
Oh, wow.
So I got to be a part of that, you know. And then that piece that I made that she bought, it's for a race car driver named Ernie Francis Jr.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, so he is an F1 driver now. But before he was that,
He was NASCAR.
he did. So he was part of the Trans Am series.
Mm-hmm.
He is the youngest person to win it. He won it at 16 years old. He went on to be the most winningest championship in Trans Am history and has the title for all the fastest records. Laps. So from there, he was with Chevy, and then he signed with Ford, and they did a big thing at the Miami Supercar rooms, and my artwork was on the walls in the Miami Supercar rooms for that. To show in the Miami Supercar rooms, it's $20,000. I've shown there twice. I'm the only artist that's shown there twice, and I didn't pay. It was Lowrider Magazine paid for me one time, and Shelby Ford paid for my second time.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That kid went on to be the first Haitian American to sign with NASCAR. And now he runs F1. Mm-hmm. The piece, the original.
Isn't he a local guy?
Yeah, he's right out of Hollywood.
Yeah.
The piece is in a vault. I have it in a vault. When it comes out, it goes to galleries, and the price tag on it's $250,000. So I'm hoping it sells. We almost had a buyer, but you know, if I can get that sale.
Yeah, man.
I met him before.
Did you?
Yeah, because we sponsored an event, Cotton King did, called Drive It Like You Stole It
Okay.
in Fort Lauderdale. And what it was, this buddy of mine who was a cop, he arranged this, and we had Formula One drivers. They'd fly in from around the world, right?
Oh, wow.
And they would come here, and it was to raise money for Special Olympics. And so we would go to Extreme Karting in Fort Lauderdale, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And we would have these teams set up, right? So there'd be like 20 teams. However,
Yes.
I think it was like 20 teams. Each team had a pro driver assigned to them.
I remember that.
So
that was didn't Bill Hoffman have something to do with that? Did you know Bill Hoffman?
I
He
don't
was
have as
from
many-
Exotic Car Society.
It could have been. I don't have as many brain cells as I used to. After my transplant, like I had a lot of like psychotropic, whatever issues because of the medications I was on, and then having encephalopathy because my body was so full of.
Oh, I was going to blame.
Toxins and-
Woodstock, but you know.
Sorry, but Woodstock was just a couple years before my time. But anyway, so we would have these drivers come in, and each team was assigned a pro driver. So the pro drivers would go out, and they would start the event off by doing 20 laps.
Oh wow.
And we had a pit crew, right? So then what they would do is they would start off 20 laps. They would draw They would draw a number, whatever, to see what position they started in, right?
Yeah.
They do 20 laps. And whatever finishing order they came in, that's how your team started.
Oh, that's cool.
And then there was 4 drivers per team and a 100-lap race.
Wow.
So each driver had to do, every driver had to do at least 15 laps.
Yeah, it was like a Thursday night or something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And it would be, because there'd be girls on your team or whatever. It's like, I just took like a couple girls from the office, another guy, myself, whatever, when we'd race. So they had to make it so like every player, every racer had to race at least 15 laps. Because what some of them were doing, of course, because they really want to win, because it's a big deal, right? So what
that competitive spirit's real.
Yeah. They would let the girls go out and race 1 lap. Let me tell you something. You race 25 laps in that thing, you're begging to get out of that
You're
car.
begging to get out of that little
I
car.
mean, you are
tough.
begging to get out of there.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, I know. I've done it, but I've never done that many laps. I've done like, a couple laps when I've
Tristan Nunez, too. Now, Tristan Nunez was another kid down here that did really, really well, but never made it. I don't think he ever made it to where
Ernie.
Yeah.
Ernie he is such a talented kid, man. And he's like 22 now. I met him when he was 16. He might be older now. I met him when he had just turned 16, and he hadn't won yet. And I created the piece, and it said "We came to win," and all this kind of stuff. It's a really dope piece. It's got like, I found this picture of like a loop, it was like a road that they photoshopped into a loop. I cut it out, and then I put a big outer space, like he's jumping over the world through this loop, and a big American flag behind it. It is dope. The piece is really nice. Yes, it's a really cool piece, and it's called the Champions Line. And I call it that because I lived next door to this guy, and he was a big time like race fan. And so I told him that I had some tickets, because I would get comp tickets all the time. So I'm like, hey, I got tickets too if you want to go to a race. And he's like, yeah, let's go. So we went down there, and he was teaching me about racing, because I was never a race car guy. So he was teaching me all about it. And he was like, what they do is they follow what's called a racer's line. And I was like, the racer's line? He's like, yeah. It's like where they look and how they drive and everything. It's like if you're playing a video game, they always put that line down the middle. That's the racer's line. You got to follow that line, and your car will do what it needed to do. And I was like, no way. So I named the piece the Champions Line because he won that year.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So the name of the piece is the Champions Line.
So what are the names? I forget the names of your other artwork.
There's one of them that's called Romantico. And that one,
I don't remember that one at all.
yeah, that one is a piece. Not a lot of people see that piece, but it was on display at the thing. And that piece was made during a time in my life where I was kind of going through it with my wife.
Okay.
And instead of being mad at her, I poured out love into this piece. And she thought it was so romantic when I was done with it. So I named the piece Romantico. There's one called The Writer's Dimension. That one is in Marriage Killer. And that one is really about losing yourself and in your own world. And it's about like how for me getting lost in cruising my lowrider and being able to escape reality when I would cruise, nothing else mattered. It was also a motivation piece for me to say no matter how bad it is, you can keep going. So when you look at my pieces, there are, especially the first like 7, the other ones tell a story, but they're telling a story on something I've learned for that particular piece. But the first ones are telling stories about me, my pain of loss, the things that I'm experienced, the pain that I was going through. There's one called La Vida.
I've never heard of any of these. When did you do these? What are the ones I know?
You probably know Facing the Paradox, which is the one with the lady shooting fire out of her mouth.
Nope, don't know that one either.
Oh no, so you would know.
Yeah,
you would know
the old ones.
The old ones. You would know, right? Iron Freedom.
Yes, Iron Freedom.
Iron Freedom. So this is a motorcycle piece.
Yes.
You
You did a fish one too.
Real Passion.
Real
and
Passion.
It's REEL. Real Passion.
You know what? I found that one online.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, guess what? Newsflash. I have all your art files.
Do you?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh man, good, because I'm missing some.
Are you really?
Yes, I'm missing Twisted Dreams.
What?
Yes,
I might have it. I'll
It's
look.
gone. Like I don't have the original file for it.
Really?
I don't know what happened to it. And the one that I have, so when I was doing,
Hopefully you're in luck.
man, I hope you have it because I don't own that piece anymore. That piece sold. The original sold. And I was able to use it for a display at the exhibit, during the exhibit, but the owner of it said it cannot be sold because her mother bought it. Her mother passed away. She's the only person that owned 2 of my originals are owned by this woman. And she owns 4 of my canvases, which the lady who did my canvases used to do the Guy Harvey canvases. She passed away. So,
And the canvases are like prints, right?
yes.
So they're reproduced, yeah.
Yeah, the reason I did
You
canvas...
got them like a number, like 1 of the 100.
I started that,
1 of
but I
50
never
or
really got all of them printed.
Oh, okay.
So there's maybe 3 of each, 4 of each that actually exist.
I'm going to bootleg them all tonight when I go home, so don't worry.
There you go.
If you want some, I'll sell them to you.
I'm glad I know that.
No, we know.
I have the
got
art
'em.
files.
He's got the files.
Yeah, so I'll look tonight because what
Let me do this.
what I did was I when I shut Cotton King down, I made I backed up everything onto an external like
Hard
5 terabyte hard drive. Wow. And I still have the hard drive. Because sometimes I get people call
Wait,
old
you have
customers.
it backed up at your house?
Yeah.
Tom, we have to talk about this, man. You don't back stuff up at your house.
No, I mean I had a server, and then that's where all the artwork was. That's where everything was. Everything for the business was on the server. And when I shut the company down, I took the server and I backed up all the stuff that I wanted to back up onto a 5 terabyte hard drive, and that's what I have it on.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that it needs to be at your house and it needs to be somewhere else, minimum. Like in the cloud
Yeah.
or whatever. But anyway,
okay.
that's another
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, the guy that prints, that actually shoots the photo, because what they do, when I take the collage to him, he puts it on this wall, and then there's these towers, these 2 towers of lights that he shines on them. You can't stand in front of these lights; they're hot. Like they're far away from the piece, but they're so bright. And then the picture that the camera that he uses, it looks like an old school, like an accordion type camera.
yeah.
But he puts a slide in it, and it scans it, like super high resolution. Like it's like I don't know if it sound crazy, but it's like 3,000 DPI. Like it's insane. It's really You could take this art and make it the size of a building, and it won't be pixelated.
Yeah.
Unless the original image is kind of pixelated. Other than that, it comes out looking. And it's funny because one of my pieces that I did, it's called Awake, and it the original piece when I had it shot, there was some dust on it. On the leggings, the leggings look dirty in that spot. And
that's wild.
It's so funny because when I first got the leggings, I was like, "What the heck?" And I went to clean it, and I'm like, "No." So I walked over to the original piece and I looked at it and I go, "Oh my gosh, it was dirty." It was the dust is still. I left the dust there in the frame because it's on there. I'm like, you know what? The dust is going to stay. It's going to stay with it.
It has to stay. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a while. Let me tell you, this whole experience has been really wild. It's been really fun, and it's been something that I was able to do a lot with my children. You know, my kids are in several movies with me. My daughter got really excited about the designs. She wanted to design some clothing. We did Miami Fashion Week together at the Bitcoin. It was a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Something
in Miami.
They had all these luxury cars around there. It was with Fusion Fashion Designs, who puts on some of the biggest shows in South Florida with fashion, and they're the ones who are putting on some of the shows in LA Fashion Week now. That I work with Tony a lot.
That's wild.
And so to have that, and I walked out, and I walked down, I grabbed my daughter's hand, and I lifted it up right at the end of the runway. It was like
That's cool.
It was really cool, and I told her, I said, when we're here, you're a designer, you're a big deal. One of the guys that was performing at the show is like, she's a fan of him. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe he's here." And I go, "You want to meet him?" And she was like, "Yeah." I go, "Come on, let's go meet him." So we walk over there, and we just walk right through into security. They got heavy security there, and they see us walking up, and they're like, "Hey, how you guys doing?" They let us right in. And she's like, "Oh my God, they're letting us in." So the guy comes, he sees her, and he comes walking towards us. He's like, "Oh my God, I wanted to meet you," to her. And he's like, "I think your designs are so cool." And he was so excited. She was like, yeah, I like your music. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I love that a designer loves my music. She couldn't believe how he was so excited about her. She's known this guy's
That's
music
really
for
cool.
quite some time.
That's
We're walking away, and she was like, that was so cool.
He's like a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she got to feel that, and so she got to feel like a star for the day too. And it was like it was cool. It was like So I've had these experiences with them, and then my daughter's an actress. She's a writer. She's she's really creative. My son is really smart. He's really creative. He's an actor. He doesn't really do it as much, but when he does it really well. He is the center for the Deerfield Beach Bucks. He's a football player. He's bigger than me.
Well, okay.
Yeah. I'm not that big. So
Yeah, I was going to say.
But I'm upset because
not like-
all my brothers are bigger
like-
than me. My son's taller than me. My nephews are all taller than me. What the heck,
So-
man?
My
7 dwarfs
son-
are bigger than you.
They might be.
My middle son is 5'11 and a half. I'm 5'10.
Yeah.
Barely 5'10 anymore. Because
Yeah.
apparently you shrink
shrink.
as you get to be.
Yeah, that's
Tom's
the
age.
other unfair thing. Like I have like some issue with my spine besides the accidents that I've been in. That I have 3 like protruding discs or something. It's a mess. I'm a mess. I just walk around. I'm in so much pain. Like I just walk around in pain. But like I have degenerative disc something. So like my discs are collapsing. What the heck, man? Like what's going on here?
Conversion table. That's what you need.
I have one. I love that thing. I tell people
Yeah.
you got to get.
I have one too.
I would not survive without this thing.
Yeah.
And I get on it and I hang upside down and I hold my head like this, like to
Yep.
push my to stretch me
It's
even
wild,
more.
right?
Yes.
And it's like if you like, I hurt my back like 2 weeks ago, and I hadn't been as good on it as I used to be, but now I'm on it every day again. Just so now I'm used to it again, and you know, back into it.
I even have this little massager thing that I call Katie. Long story, but it's not named after anyone. But I sit on it and it's like gets all in my neck, and I don't think know if you're supposed to go that deep into it, but I push my neck in that thing. Sometimes it like stops. It's like zzz, and then I lean over. I move a little forward so I get. But when I get a massage, I need them to get all in there. Don't even use your hands. Use your elbows and all your weight.
That's crazy. All right, so as we're going to start winding down here, I got something a little different. Right. So, do you know who Jack Link is?
Who?
Jack Links. They make jerky, beef jerky.
Okay, my wife will because she's a beef jerky fan.
So
she eats that.
She's in luck. So I'm a big fan of their company just because it's a cool story. It's like a family recipe that sort of came down, and they live in the grandson of the guy whose recipe it was, I think lives in West Palm now. But it's like a family recipe. I think the father made it, and it was like the first really good quality jerky. So anyway, I've been making it.
Oh, no way.
So this recipe
What?
just came out this morning.
And you made it?
Yeah. So this is a teriyaki-ish. There's no chemicals. There's no anything. It's like sugar, soy sauce. Now, the problem is it was supposed to shut off at 2 a.m. Right? Somehow my little wall thing didn't. I didn't catch it until 6:44 this morning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to be overcooked. It is overcooked.
It's good.
It wasn't supposed to be quite that much, but I was like,
I did a good job.
It's a little bit grizzly because if you don't put a bunch of chemicals in it.
I think it's good. That works. Nice.
Not bad, right?
They're coming for you. He's coming for you, Lynx. What is it, Lynx?
Yep, Jack Link. I'm competing against them now.
There you go.
No, they're a great company.
What'd you use to dehydrate it?
My dehydrator.
Is that what you used? You can do it on a smoker too.
And you can do it smoker. You can do it in the oven. You can do it. Well,
I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it on my Traeger.
You know what?
Traeger.
What is that?
It's a smoker,
Oh, okay.
but it's electric. So in case of a
Woogie,
if a yeah, it's electric.
I had to.
So
woogie woogie.
Every time someone says it's electric, I'm compelled to say boogie woogie woogie.
you have to.
There's no choice in the matter. As soon as I hear it's electric, it's boogie woogie woogie.
Yeah, so I got a Traeger smoker because my boys. So my little son Josh has like a big green egg XL, right?
Okay.
And then Jordan, my youngest son, he bought this Traeger from a guy for $100, one of the guys he works with. Needed some parts, so he put like another 100 into it. It's like a $1,000 smoker. So basically $200. So they're posting pictures and stuff of things they're smoking, and Jordan only lives 2 houses away, so I get to sample his, right? So I'm like, well, this isn't going to happen. Like, I'm not getting left out. So I went and bought a smoker.
Nice.
So mine was on sale.
So
I only paid like $3.99.
Because they're expensive.
if
then
the electric goes out and you want to grill or smoke, you have to run a generator to
Can't just chop down a tree and use it.
So that's the first thing this clown says to me is, he's like, oh, what are you going to do when the power goes out? I'm like, well, I hadn't really planned on smoking anything during the middle of a hurricane, but...
My smoker, I've used it in a power outage. I've got videos to show at night. It was great.
Dude, I have a gas grill and a
Green eggs.
Blackstone flat griddle.
The flat ones, yeah.
Dude, I'm covered. If there's no power, I got 2 other cooking sources.
I remember
He's just
Hurricane
jealous.
Wilma. Yeah, Wilma was 2005.
2005.
Yeah.
Yeah, my roof ended
I
up
was
in
in
my neighbor's
Pompano
yard.
then. I lived in Pompano
Oh, really?
at Federal and Sample.
Yeah, by the Highlands. You know, do you
We
remember?
lost our roof, too.
Do you remember that car? It was all over the news. That was like the tree fell. It lifted up the whole driveway, and the car was 10 feet in the air. That was on 15th Avenue in the Highlands, and I saw that. And for the life of me, I know I took pictures of that thing, and I cannot find
can't find
any
it?
of the pictures. That's the downside of the digital age of pictures.
Yeah, they just disappear.
They disappear, and you don't. No one has photo albums anymore. Not like you can print up photos the way you used to at Walgreens. Nobody was using that. I don't think Walgreens even has a photo department anymore. I don't think.
I think they do passport photos, but that
I
might
think
be
that's
about it.
Eckerd. Not Eckerd. What do they call it now? It's Eckerd. Wow. CVS.
Eckerd's. That was 100
CVS.
years ago.
Actually, Walgreens is not doing well.
No, I know they're not.
They're like, I think they're about to be bought out by some individual before they go into bankruptcy. It's been around over 100 years
Yeah.
Why are they struggling?
because it's. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just not a.
Maybe they
people do
oversaturated
anymore.
their locations
And you can get like prescriptions. Wait until you see what, like, I mean, you can go to Publix, you can go to Walmart, you can go. Amazon is going big time into this.
Yeah.
So if you can start, and they're like at prescriptions that are like going to be dirt cheap from Amazon, delivered
wow.
like next day or same day.
You know, that's what ended
Crazy.
Toys R Us.
Yeah.
That's what
That was a
ended
great
Toys
store.
R Us. Now they're going to open up again. It's going to call Jeffrey's.
That was the name
Toy
of
box or
the
something.
Toy chest or something?
giraffe.
The giraffe. Yeah. So they're going to be like
mascot.
Jeffrey's Toy Chest or something like that.
Yeah, Jeffrey spelled with a G.
Yeah, it's spelled like Geoffrey, like GEO or something like that.
Yeah, Jeffrey, yeah.
Yeah, that's
With a G.
yeah.
I
So-
always thought that was weird.
So remember when you're talking about
It is weird.
It is. Remember, I have a friend named Jeff with a G. But I don't make fun of him because he works for ICE.
Nice.
That rhymed.
So you know how you were saying that you were on the radio show and you said the word retard?
Yeah.
So my mom, her entire career, worked with Down syndrome.
Okay.
People with Down syndrome. She worked for the state hospitals. And then when she went here in Florida, she worked for a company called ARC of Broward.
Okay.
And what they did is that they would have, it was like a workplace and then an education place. So adults with Down syndrome would go, those that were high functioning, right? And they would learn a skill. And so ARC of Broward would, like, they'd have like these little toolkits, right? And they'd have to put the pieces in the toolkit, close it up, and then they were doing manufacturing, basically, light manufacturing. And so the other thing they would do is they would teach them how to use the bus system. So they could get jobs, right?
Right.
So they could be semi-independent. But they had to learn how to do all this stuff. So that's what she did. So her entire career, that's what she did. I was going through some of my private stuff, right? Personal stuff of all the things that I've saved over the years.
Right.
And so the other day, probably a couple weeks ago, I was going through it, and I found one of my mom's job applications from 1973. And this is when we were living in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
And the job, previous work history, it said...
We know where this is going.
You know where it's going? It said, drove the retards to school. I mean, that was part of the job description.
Really?
Because there was no...
That's what it was.
Like, when I got older, I would refer to people that actually had some kind of disability as challenged. The retards were the people that were normal that did stupid things. They were the retards. You know what I mean? But growing up, you know, when I was a kid, it was normal to be like, oh, that person's retarded, so you got to be nice to them. It wasn't a derogatory form of thing, but it's just funny to hear that.
Well, I have a whole thing about that. So, we should be able to say retard. And the reason is this, is that if you are someone who was born and you are, you know, challenged, I have, legit have a memory issue. I can't help that, right? So,
well, that was from the medications you were on, though, right?
Well, the medications, but also my brain was poisoned from all the toxins that had built up in my body because my liver wasn't processing anything.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
that explains a lot.
It does. Yeah. So you know how everybody has this, right? Like, you can't remember a word in your conversation. You might have said it 10 times. And then all of a sudden it's like, doesn't exist anymore, right? Like you were just saying, you lost it, right? That would happen to me after my transplant. That would happen to me 20 times a day.
Wow.
And then try to put all my thoughts together. Anyway, so there are people that are legitimately, they are challenged because of whatever, right? A disability.
Right.
It's a legit thing. Okay. And then there's retards. And the retards are the people that are intelligent and smart enough, but still act like complete idiots.
That's a retard. Exactly.
You're retarded.
Yes, exactly. That's how I've always seen it.
Yeah.
I've always looked at it that way.
No, there's no.
So we should be allowed to say it again.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some like meme about that. Like,
yeah,
we can say retard and gay again.
Yeah, there's a thing which shows Donald Trump signing a thing.
That's the executive order.
Call your friends retards and gay again.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the meme. Yep. I couldn't remember. I just knew there was one.
Yep. Hey, listen, that's what, you know, you can't be too sensitive, especially, and you know what I tell people, and this is something to go back to what we were talking about the fact that when you're building a business and everything like that, you've got to be thick-skinned.
Right.
You've got to learn to be thick-skinned. Don't let these little trivial words that people want to throw at you and say it's offensive. Don't let those things knock you down and ruin you. And
man, what a segue. That's
got to look
perfect.
at that. You know, I really think about those things because of the fact that I'm very conscious of it. You got to be tough. You're going to have to say hard no's. You're going to have to say yes to things that you really, you know, and not things that are against your moral value, you know, but there's going to be times that you say yes to projects you take less for that you know you could get more for.
Yeah.
Just to keep yourself going, keep yourself busy. I've done projects for free. I've gotten paid for them. Sometimes I make a lot of money on a movie. Sometimes I don't make.
Right.
Sometimes I make a lot of money on art. Sometimes I don't make nothing. You know? So, you know, no matter what, you have to be thick-skinned enough to be able to not be offended by trivial words that are going to make you make you susceptible to walking away from an opportunity.
Right.
And I see a lot of people walk away from opportunities simply because they don't like this person's language. And it's like, they have what you need. Go with them.
Right.
You might be the person to change their mind on their view on something, and you don't even know that might be your job. You don't even know you're going to build this whole thing. This is an opportunity for you to change somebody as well as get what you need. You never know what it is, so you have to take every opportunity, and you have to be thick-skinned while you're doing it.
Yeah, no, that's a great thought, because it is all about that. That is one of the few things I think almost any business founder will say.
Yeah.
That I've heard. You gotta be thick-skinned, you gotta be tough, and you gotta persevere.
Oh,
you
yeah.
gotta just keep on going.
Look at Tom. Tom's done everything.
I treated every customer that came in like they were my best friend.
Yeah.
Whether I would go have a beer with them or not.
Didn't
a lot of them, no. I didn't.
Right.
I mean, I can get along with anybody, right? But it doesn't mean I'm going to go hang out with them or go hang out at their house or go to the beach with them or anything like that, right? But when you're in business, you have to learn how to get along with everybody.
Yes.
Or you're going to limit your destination, like how far you're going to go.
Right.
Because you start isolating people. I mean, you're just not going to... I wouldn't have a podcast today if I did that.
Yeah, once you start isolating one group, you start isolating all of them. There'll be a reason to isolate all of them. Before you know it, you're alone like, well, where'd everybody go?
Well, I would have customers that come in and be like, you see them pull up on the parking lot and you're like, oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, we always...
That guy again.
We all have those
It's
customers.
Kenny.
Yeah.
It's Kenny.
He's like, oh, God, he's gonna sit in the massage chair again.
Kenny's here again. Oh.
He never kicked me out. Let the record show I was never kicked out.
But the attitude was, hey, man, what's up? How you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do for you? Right?
Yeah.
Because the idea is that you never know, like you were saying, right? When you're climbing the ladder,
Yeah.
okay, you don't step on people, right?
Right.
And as you're going by people, you don't kick them in the face.
Right.
Right? Because at some point, there's going to come a time, I guarantee you, you're going to be coming down that ladder.
Yes.
Not over you're coming all the way down,
Yep.
but you're going to be taking a couple steps backwards, right?
Absolutely.
And you certainly don't want to be in a position where you can't reach out or reach down to the people that you went by in the way, right?
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, well, you know, you can go do, right?
I had people that were on their way up faster than me when I first got in. They were on their way up when I got into the industry, or they were up on a certain plateau that I saw them like, wow, this person's really fascinating. So I would try to talk to them or whatever, and I was treated bad. And I remembered them. And then now they're coming to me and they're like, hey, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I remember you. You treated me really bad. I let them know right away. I remember how you treated me. So, you know, you feel that you've changed? You're not that person anymore? You know what I mean? Like, why should I trust you? Because I seen you when you're at this level, you behave differently.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And so,
That's
you know,
crazy.
you no matter what, and I try to implement this to my children. I said, you treat the janitor the same respect you treat the CEO. Because let me tell you, there are doors the janitor can open the CEO ain't even got keys to.
They don't even know they exist.
Exactly. And you never know when you need to get in that room. So treat everybody with respect.
And it's not about, you know, sometimes people confuse that with like, oh, well, you're just using people. Like, no, I'm not using people because I'm genuinely care about them, right?
Yes.
They're a human being.
Yes.
And
there's a very fine line in that, where people will try to say that you're using people when you're not. And you're genuine. Yeah, you're a very genuine guy. I'm a very genuine guy. I imagine that if you've known Tom for as long as you have, you must be a genuine guy. You seem like it. And so so when you're genuine, even if you know that somebody can, even if you know somebody can do something for you, we're not the kind of people that just go to them for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't just run to them for that. We make sure that there's something that we can offer them as well.
Sure.
And it's almost like a, you know, and even there's sometimes where it's not right away, you know, where I've had people that open doors for me, and I always felt like, man, I can never really thank them for that. But then years later, I see them and they're like, hey, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I got an opportunity for you. You know what I mean?
And even different than that, Kenny, is I think about all the people that helped me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
When I was struggling to grow the company, right? And there were many people that came along to help. And so I tried to always remember, like, you know what? I'm going to help that guy, right?
Yep.
So like when you come in and you're just getting started and you're needing things, I'm like, no, I'm going to help this guy out.
Yeah.
Because somebody helped me
Yep.
right? And if I can help you, my philosophy was, if I can help you become successful, then I'll be successful.
Yes.
Because
I agree with that.
If I can help you grow your business, right?
You're going to
that
buy more stuff.
You're gonna
Yeah.
use my services, and we can work together.
Yes.
Right.
And I have gotten more opportunities that have come from me trying to get doors open for other people. Mm-hmm. And there's that I've gotten opportunities out of it, but that were not expected.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it was really
Yeah.
wild.
The first thing you should be asked is, hey, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
How can I help you?
Yep.
Right. Forget about yourself.
Yes.
It's always good to I mean, even like I work for a company that's not a giant company, but we're, not
Not small, but not big.
right, medium, well, we're small cap
Yeah.
stock, but it's always best if you're like a manager or like a whoever, you make your team shine. Mm-hmm. You let
Yes.
your team shine, not you. You
Right.
let your team shine, because when your team shines, you shine too.
You shine through them. Yeah, exactly.
And it always works better. And then you get your team that actually like gets recognition and
agree.
gets to enjoy that. And then they're enthused and they work better. They work, whatever. And they like, do
one of the
more
things.
because they're motivated.
Well, they want to make you look good too.
Yes, yes.
So it's like if you take care of your employees, you don't have to worry about your customers.
Right.
Take care of your employees,
And they'll take care of you,
and
yeah.
they're going to take care of your customers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without
I
it.
always say, and when I'm managing people, or whatever position I'm in as a manager, whether it's the business owner or if I'm managing a company, the one thing that I've always looked for is I try to figure out people's strengths, and I try to give them as many responsibilities or projects that cater to their strengths, because then they get more confident in their work. Their mood is better and everything progresses better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to look at that.
Don't try to get better at the things you suck at.
Why
Just
not?
just know you suck at.
I
it.
say go for it. I always say go for it. Like, even if you suck at it, just try it once.
Well, no, try it, right?
Yeah.
No, you should always try new things.
Yeah,
right?
you should always try new things. Absolutely.
And because so here's the thing: like when we first started this whole thing, it was like you should have seen it. Like it was.
You should see it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not any better now.
I'm having a great time. I think the studio looks great. You know what I mean? So,
But anyway, so you just try it, right? Because you know you're going to be bad at it.
yeah.
And I heard this woman talk one time about how her dad, like he didn't care about anything you succeeded at. When they sat down for dinner, so what did you fail at today? Mm-hmm. What did you try and not succeed at?
Yeah.
Because we need to build a generation of people learning how to fail.
Yes.
Because success comes through many failures.
Right.
And you
absolutely
fail upward.
Right. And yes, exactly. And
Yes.
and that's how you learn to overcome challenges. You just
Yeah.
go, wow, so what? I used to tell people, like, dude, try it. What's the worst thing that could happen to you? Oh, you
Right.
could end up right where you are right
now.
You're already here.
Yeah, exactly.
You're here.
That is so true. You can do it and say you did it. Maybe it doesn't work, but did you have fun?
Yes.
Did you meet people? Did you know what I'm saying? Like, I think sometimes people also have to know that there's a level of success financially that when you're building a business that you want to get to. But don't underestimate the success that you have when you accomplish something that is considered a feat. Showing my artwork that is collage art, one of the least popular mediums in America, at a gallery that charges $20,000 to show it and it was paid for.
Yeah.
That's a feat. I didn't sell a piece at that show. I sold a piece after at another show, but they saw the piece there. Being on a runway, having a runway show, putting on a runway show, never going to school for fashion. I mean, before I did
That's
Miami,
insane.
yeah, before I did Miami Swim Week though, I did take, because I needed to know some stuff. I went to Thas in Boca. It's Thas, the House of Sanchez. It's a beauty. It's a fashion school. It's a fashion design school, and I went there to learn as much as I can before the show, because I'm 2 shows in already, and there was the second show. There was times that I was talking to designers and I didn't know what they were saying.
Right. They had a lingo.
They had a lingo that I didn't know, and I was like, "What do they mean?" I played it off, but I went to school and I was like, "Oh!" And then after I did Miami Fashion Week, I went back to the school as a guest speaker, which was really cool.
That's neat.
And those are feats that, you know, a lot of people don't get to that level. You know, growing up, the one thing of all the things that I've done, the one thing I did want to do was radio. And I researched the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. They have a camp in Miami. So growing up, I used to want to be on the air because I grew up listening to radio shows and I used to love radio shows. So it was something I always wanted to do. But because, you know, the expense of it, I didn't have the time for the school. I just never pursued it. But then I got the opportunity one day to be on a radio show. And they liked me as a guest so much that they brought me in as a host. And I was on there for a year. And then when the show dissolved for the lady getting another opportunity, which she regrets. Sorry, Denise, putting you out there. But we never were able to get the sponsors back and get the show back on the air. Then I did a show called The Third Rail, which was my own show. And I had really good guests on it. I had Bruce Socia from Gravesend. I had the director, John Vargas, Juan Vasquez. So I was able to get directors and actors that I worked with and things like that. But the thing is the sponsorships to be on the air, you know. So I just kind of, it's on hold, but I plan to go back on to figure that part out because I really enjoyed it. It's something I enjoy. And maybe it's not going to be something that will bring me a bunch of money, but I enjoy doing it. That it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I'll make my money in other ways. There's so many facets of MagChop that I have that to generate money from. So sometimes you're not going to make a bunch of money in one area. Sometimes it's taking a little bit from every little area, you know. And even if you have to have a job during the time you're building your business, don't knock yourself for that. We talked about that before the show was don't knock yourself for having a job while you're building your business. You gotta eat still.
Yeah,
you know?
Of course.
I mean, there's gonna come a point where you gotta take that dive and you gotta walk away and take the risk. I did it for a while, but during that risk time that I was doing it, I knew I had a mortgage still. I knew I had electric bill. I knew I had water bill. I knew I had kids to feed. You know what I mean? And so I found myself using every skill that I'd learned throughout life to make money. I was clearing people's lines. I was installing showers and drain lines. I was running drain lines for people. You know what I mean? I figured out that Mother's aluminum polish and microfiber towel and some good old-fashioned elbow grease takes the yellow oxidation off of headlights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so before anyone really figured it out, and they had all these other kits, no one knew how to clean these lights. So I would go to these, and it's like 2014, but no one was really cleaning the lights. The kit that they sold didn't work. The original kits did not work well.
You just had to replace them, right?
Yeah, or you have to have them sanded down, wet sand and buffed. So I figured out that this worked on accident when I was cleaning the grill of a car. Some of the aluminum polish got on the light. So I cleaned it off. It had a clean strike, and I was like, no way. I was like, no way. So I charged. Yeah. No way. You know what I mean? Ready. You know, so I was like, man. So I went to like these plazas and I was like, yo, $20 a car, I'll clean your headlights. I was there for like an hour. I mean, like $400.
Wow. That's cool.
You know what I mean? And then the lady that I worked that was doing my canvases, the guy that was making her frames had quit. And so when one of the jobs I got when I got out of jail that I was able to get was a framer. I learned how to make frames, picture frames, and stretch bars. So I called her. I was putting an order in. She's like, hey, I'm delayed a little bit. My stretch bar guy quit, and I got to get somebody else in here. And I was like, oh, I can make those. You want me to come in and make some for you? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, you can make them? I go, yeah. She's like, show me. So I went met her at the office. I looked at her machine. I was like, oh, yeah, I know this machine. So I made him. She's like, I can do $1 a frame for the stretch bars. And I was like, okay, cool. So she would get these orders, and I would work from Thursday. I would go in there at like 4 or 5 o'clock, and I'd work till like 7 in the morning, and I did 800 frames.
Wow.
And I did them every Thursday. So I was making $800 a week.
Picking up.
In one day.
Right.
In one day.
Covers your food bill for the week plus
it was
whatever.
Covering everything. I was buying stuff from Tom with that money. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's crazy.
That was
business to business.
It was business to business. Because when you're building your business, you have to think about what it costs, operating cost, what your products cost, what it costs to for everything to go in to create that product.
Yeah.
You have to think about your marketing. You have to think about paying yourself. So you have to look at all those different things. And it's like, I didn't know any of this stuff, you know, so I had to learn slowly, where it was most of the time you're putting money back into the business. You're not even paying yourself at first. And sometimes you have to, even though your business is making money, the expenses can take that money, and you might find yourself in a situation where you need to work a part-time job.
Yeah.
You know, or you know, you'd be surprised how many people I know in this industry have businesses and they Uber at night. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and it's nothing
and
wrong
just
with that.
be humbled, because that's how it is.
And that's what it is. And you know what? I've always found that the people that are humble, do the best, treat you the best. It's the other ones. It's the ones that they see themselves with these delusions of grandeur, like, oh, I'm better than you because I've done this. You're not better because you did something. You're just more experienced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And there's also luck that comes into that of it too, right? Like you have to put yourself in a position to be to receive luck, whatever God's divine intervention.
yeah. See, I don't use the word luck because I to me it's a blessing. It's
Yeah.
you can miss your blessing if you don't take if you don't jump on that path. You gotta jump on that path. It's a hard path. If it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's a hard path, and you jump on it, you work on it, and because you're persevering through it, those things that people will look at as luck are really blessings because of, you know.
Well, because things you did.
Well, yeah. What is it? I believe the Bible does say something like a man is worth his weight in gold, right? And so it doesn't necessarily mean figuratively gold. The gold could be the success of the accomplishment, and you got to be careful not to mix those up.
If your sailboat is tied up to the dock and you don't have your sails out, God can't guide your path.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like
that's great.
You can be
I'm
on.
gonna use that one.
You can be on the
Wow,
middle of the
that's deep,
ocean.
Tom.
For real.
Sails
That's
are,
really deep.
What's in here?
sails are down.
This
Whatever it is
legal
must
in
be
all 50 states.
must be brain food.
It's brain food. It's working.
Must be. Hey, by the way, Gremlins and Ghostbusters, 1984.
1984. Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy. So I'm going to send the rest of this to your wife before
yeah.
Tom eats it all.
That's all you brought?
All right.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's all
gosh.
right. Well, it started out after I cut off after I got all the tallow off the beef and cut it all down. It was 4.5 pounds almost.
That's amazing. I can't cook. I think it's fascinating because I can't cook. I mean,
What?
No, I don't cook.
Oh, it's my hobby.
I could pour a mean bowl of cereal, but I don't cook.
Really?
Luckily,
Yeah, I don't cook.
it's my hobby. It's my way I relax, because also my people need to eat. I've
Yeah.
got a 17-year-old still at my house for a little bit longer, and my daughter is in 8th grade, an athlete, and they eat a lot.
Oh yeah, but
And
I
my
got a
oldest,
football
he's
player's
out
son.
now.
Believe me.
Yeah.
One time, my daughter made this massive pot of food, and I mean, it was like we can eat for 3 days. My wife was out of town, and my son came home with 3 of his friends, football friends.
Just devoured it. Gone.
I mean, I was like, did you guys unhinge your jaw and just tip the freaking thing? I was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it was gone. It looked like if somebody wiped the pot clean. I was like, guys, man, y'all ate everything. I mean, I've had to learn, how to cook. So I learned how to make rice, and I can make eggs. I can grill. Like you season meat for me. I don't season it, but if my wife seasons, I can grill. That I can do.
Kenny.
That's it.
Now,
I can boil water.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I pour a mean bowl of cereal. Like no one
you
pours it
were
like me.
born where?
In Chicago.
Chicago?
Yeah.
I mean, here, like I've lived here for a long time now, and I love the cultural diversity we have, especially with food.
I
And
love
you
that
meet-
about Florida.
Yeah.
We have it in
Puerto
we have it in
Ricans,
Chicago.
Dominicans,
Yeah.
eat the tostones. I've been to all the best restaurants because I've got friends in every culture. Indian food, which is a lot harder to find here. Good Indian
Good
food.
Indian food, yeah.
But I just so much diversity and so many cultures that have such great food.
Oh, yeah.
But I do a lot of at home. I do a lot of black beans and rice. Like my family makes jokes about it because that's like a staple. You have rice and you have pretty much any kind of bean or pea.
Yeah.
You've got all 9 essential amino acids that
There it is.
build protein. Why do you think beans and rice are the staple like all over the world?
Right. Yeah.
Because
It has the nutrients
it's
you need.
cheap and it's really good and it's got everything you need. So
What really blew my mind was like, I go to Costco, right? But I go here locally. Well, I was going to the Keys, and my oldest son Josh lives in Isla Morada with him and his family.
Oh, okay.
So we were going down there, and we were going to stop at the Costco down in Homestead. So we go in there, and I go down this one aisle. There's like 27 different types of beans,
oh yeah.
all dried beans.
wow. Well,
And I'm
every
like,
culture
because-
has the bean that they do. Like
Yes.
Cubans are black bean. Brazilians are black bean.
Puerto Ricans, we use a lot of the kidney beans.
Puerto Ricans are red bean or
Red bean, the gandules.
kidney bean. Mexicans are obviously pinto beans. Everybody knows that,
Yeah.
which makes refried beans. In the Bahamas and the islands, they do a lot of peas and rice,
Yeah. And they use a lot of curry.
a lot of curry,
Yeah.
and it's like. So I love to learn new ways to cook and new ways to do stuff, but
I just learned the new ways to eat. I'm like, oh, I'll try that. And there's a lot. It's funny because as I've gotten older, and especially after COVID, I had to, during COVID, I had to I lost my taste and everything. So I started eating more spicier foods because I didn't eat a lot of spicy foods. I was that Puerto Rican. I don't drink coffee. I don't eat spicy food. Like people were like, "Are you even Puerto Rican?"
You don't drink coffee?
No. But I could make a killer cup of coffee. It's really weird. If I made you a glass like a café con leche, you would be like, "How do you know this tastes good?" You would like it, and you would wonder how I know
we
it tastes
just
good.
do it. So my wife is a Brazilian, though she's lived here since she was 17, but she does not eat anything spicy. Brazilians are a real spicy culture for most, but every Brazilian drinks coffee. All
Yeah.
200 million of them are, however many, except her.
Oh wow,
No coffee.
that's funny.
Hates
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying. Puerto Ricans,
Can't even smell
everybody
it.
drinks coffee except me. And then when I
Yeah.
go, my whole family's like. But then I make them coffee. I grew up when my dad would make his coffee. I used to remember that everybody always complimented, "Oh man, he makes great coffee." And I guess just from watching him make it, I learned there's a certain color that I look for, and when I get that color, I know the coffee's right.
Yeah.
And
It's all about the beans, too.
Yeah, we're kind of coffee snobs.
Yeah, big
Oh,
time
really?
Around here.
Yeah, because, my wife and Jesse, they, I can't, we have friends, you go to their house and they have coffee. It's like, did you really buy Maxwell House or Folgers?
oh no,
Yeah, that's
That's what my mom
that was
drank.
boomers, man. So
Yeah,
you're
that's-
escaping the boomer.
Yeah,
'cause that's what the
yeah.
boomers bought.
I mean,
and that's like airline coffee. I always thought that was like airline coffee.
yeah,
Most
so
airlines do better than that now.
the company out there is a company out there called Black Rifle, Death Wish,
Oh wow.
like
How about Blackout? So
Blackout.
I support Blackout. They're a roaster from West Palm, but I think their roaster is around the lake. Great coffee. I switched to them from Black Rifle because the Black Rifle that I wanted to get in fresh every day or every couple of weeks, it would take like 9 days to be mailed. So I found what is this Blackout coffee place? It's in West Palm Beach.
Oh no.
And it's here in like one day.
Would you? Oh, okay. Oh, so you
And it's
like
great coffee.
Oh wow. Okay. I
Great
thought it was
coffee.
like a restaurant or it's like a store that.
No, it's like a
just
roaster.
production.
they just make coffee.
They
Oh,
just
that's
do
cool.
coffee.
And the crazy
Yeah,
thing
I think
is,
it's blackoutcoffee.com or
My wife drinks Bustelo or Pilon.
well,
Oh, yeah.
drinks
that's
this
from Miami.
Colombian stuff.
That's a great coffee.
yeah,
Yeah.
Bustelo.
Made in Miami.
Yeah, we have that too.
Yeah.
Because we have a cappuccino machine.
Yeah, I got
Whatever.
I got the one that does the Keurig and the coffee. It does whatever
Yeah.
one.
Oh, okay.
One of my customers who buys my mugs, he has this coffee machine. It's like a $5,000 or $7,000 machine. Like I forget what the name of it is, but he sent me a picture of it with my mugs in front of it, and I just thought it was like a cool looking coffee machine. So I posted it, And I got all kinds like, bro, did you just buy that? And I'm like, no, it's one of my, bro, that's a $7,000 thing. It's got the milk thing. It does everything.
The frother.
Yeah, it's a really cool, like there's a whole, but I just don't drink the stuff.
Yeah.
I'd give me a glass of chocolate milk in the morning with my breakfast, and that's what I drink.
with your Lucky Charms.
I drink, it's funny. I drink chocolate milk, and like I'm known for it. Everyone knows me, knows I drink chocolate milk.
My family does too.
Chocolate milk is good for you after you do a workout.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's supposed to help restore your...
And I use the Ovaltine, not the Nesquik. I used to have Nesquik.
No,
but,
dude, I'm talking like real chocolate milk, not that stuff.
Oh, what
You know
are
how
talking about?
you know you grew up poor?
How?
Because you still drink Ovaltine or Nestle's Quick.
Yeah, well, I grew up poor.
Yeah,
but
I know, me
Nesquik was
too.
like the poorer.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
it was like straight sugar. The
Nesquik,
Ovaltine's supposed to
I
be
don't
like the
drink chocolate
healthier
milk,
version.
but,
I made a piggy bank out of a Nesquik box.
You used to have to open them with a
my
spoon. Like,
goodness.
Yeah, don't you remember? Yeah, remember? You know what I did is after it was completely empty, because it had that big, like 2-inch diameter lid, right?
Yeah.
I soldered it together. And after I took the lid, I cut a slit in it, and then soldered the lid on. So the only way you were getting it out is like destroy it.
destroy it. Yeah,
No.
There was a guy I worked with at Waste Management, and every paycheck he would take like $40, and he had this metal tube. He would stuff them in the metal tube, and then at the end of the year he would cut the tube open and have the money for whatever he needed to do, and then he would re-weld it closed and do it again the next year.
That's a great idea.
It was fascinating to me.
Or just put it in a bank account.
Yeah, but you know what this is like?
When sometimes you have access to it,
Yeah.
then you use it. He had no access to it.
Self-control.
That's true.
Yep. But I wondered, I'm like, man, how do you know the money's not going to get destroyed? You're cutting open a thing because, I don't know how I never knew how he cut it open, but
Probably a bandsaw or something.
it had to be something.
Grinder. I'd do
Yeah.
it with a grinder with a
Yeah, catch them all on
cutting
fire.
wheel.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, so going back to something you'd mentioned earlier. So I was accepted to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting
Oh, cool.
in West Palm.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, it's in West Palm. I thought it was in Miami or something.
Well, it might be now.
Maybe they have one up there.
Did this a while ago.
Okay.
Let's just,
Oh man, he's a boomer.
this was
I mean, this could have been like 1966.
I was still swimming.
1983. It was 1983, clown. Yeah, so same type of thing, right? Like I went there, was accepted to the program, and I didn't have any money. And then the other thing that detracted me from doing it was, first of all, I didn't have any guidance, right,
Yeah.
at home. You know what I mean? But the second part is the guy told me, like, flat up, he's like, yeah, you'll get through here. We'll get you a job, like full on.
Because you have a face for radio.
Yes, I do. So, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, no, so he said, we'll get you a job, but it's going to be in Kansas from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And you're
yeah.
going to make $200 a week.
Right. That's the thing is you start off in these places, but
Right.
the idea is to build it up, right?
Right, if you're good.
Now with what's more popular now is podcasts.
Oh, yeah, podcast, right?
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's huge. So the thing was, though, is I had a truck payment. So I'm thinking in my head,
Nope.
how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
I can't, I'm not going to be able to, even in Kansas or wherever they send you, right?
I can't afford that.
I'm not going to be able to afford it. But here's the thing, like nobody ever took the time to say, like this it has to do with this conversation we're having, is that get another job.
Right.
Yeah, like you can work from 6 a.m.